2-run homer. Come from behind win on Friday. On Saturday, Canseco, a game-winning home run in the 10th inning. Then on Sunday, the A's made it 3 of 4. This time, Dave Henderson, the long ball. Now they meet again. Friday night, tempers exploded. Jose Canseco argued a steal call. Jeff Torborg was later rejected on a ball-strike argument. The Sox won at 5-4. Last night, Terry Steinbach hit in the head. Jose Canseco, Ricky Henderson sought retribution. Tony La Russa ejected, but the A's came away winners. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, and a beautiful night for baseball. The new Comiskey Park in Chicago at 35th and Shields. It's the A's and the White Sox. And despite all that's happened to the Oakland A's, including lots of injuries, they remain on top in the American League West. The Chicago White Sox in danger of finding the cellar. Welcome, everybody. Gary Thorne and Joe Morgan. And at Comiskey Park tonight, we are looking forward to this ball game. And after all that happened last night, Joe Morgan, how does it affect the A's?
Well, another team, it might affect them a lot, but the A's are champions. They know that you have to put yesterday behind you. I expect the A's to play their normal, aggressive-type baseball game, and if the Chicago White Sox get in the way, they'll get run over.
A lot of people are looking forward to that, I think, here tonight. For the Chicago White Sox, a big story developing. His name is Frank Thomas. He's supposed to be their starting first baseman. He is their leader in offensive production. He will be their designated hitter, but his throwing arm is in trouble. This is early this afternoon. Jeff Torborg, the manager, with him. Watch Thomas trying to throw the baseball. During this past week, he had a double play opportunity. He threw the ball into the ground at second. The next night, he had a double play opportunity, and he didn't even throw it. He had tendonitis in the arm earlier. Spring training, it was a problem. But right now, they're not sure what it is, but something's wrong.
Well, definitely something's wrong. I don't know if it's in his mind or what, but he does push the ball instead of throwing it. He is not releasing the ball. He's pushing it. And if he continues to do that, he'll have problems all year long.
Okay, so we will see Thomas as the designated hitter here tonight. Fans are looking forward to this Game 3 of the 4-game series. Will we have more of the activities we've seen? We don't know that, but we will have Mike Moore. He makes the start for the A's tonight against the knuckleball, Charlie Hough.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By Payne Weber. We believe our most important investment is an investment in relationships. And by Midas. For mufflers, brakes, and shocks, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Oakland A's coming in a game on top and on the road this season. They have won 12 and lost 13. For the Oakland A's, Ricky Henderson will be leading it off in left field. What a job by Vance Law. He's got it now at third base. Jose Canseco hitting the home runs. Harold Baines, former White Sox, will be the DH. Dave Henderson, he is their offensive leader this season in center. Mark McGuire, not much of an average, but a lot of RBIs. Jamie Quirk will be working behind the plate. Left-handed hitter Mike Gallego just had a grand slam in this series at second. And Walt Weiss makes the start at shortstop. It's a great night here at Comiskey Park. One of those days where on the lake the fog was so heavy it looked like it was raining, but you come a half-mile inland where the yard is, and it's just a beautiful night for baseball. Very comfortable, 65 and clear, no chance of rain, and those winds blowing out towards right field, but as you see, there's not a whole lot there to affect the movement of the baseball. Charlie Hough will be on the mound for the Chicago White Sox tonight. There aren't many knuckleballers left, but he is one of them. And there you see, one-loss record ERA that is up there. When he's been on, he's been very successful. When that knuckleballer doesn't float like the butterfly, he gets stung by the bee. And that's where a lot of those hits and runs have come from.
Well, knuckleball pitchers historically have problems when they cannot get the knuckleball over. Some nights the thing will just dance in and out of the strike zone and the hitters will chase it. The first thing you have to do as a hitter is be patient with a knuckleball pitcher. find out which way it is breaking most of the time that particular night, and then adjust accordingly. If you help him out, you're going to be in a lot of trouble because they do not throw a lot of strikes.
Charlie Hough, we asked him before the game, why and how did he become a knuckleball pitcher?
I was a normal pitcher in the Dodger minor league organization and ended up with a sore shoulder in 1969, and one of our minor league pitching coaches said, have you ever tried to throw a knuckleball? And showed me how to hold it, and the next day I became a knuckleball pitcher.
And it has kept him in the game a long time. It gets a lot of people out of the game, though, because the catchers become black and blue. Don Wakamatsu is going to be the catcher. He's actually the third string catcher.
And the rest of the defense for the Chicago White Sox. Gold Glove winner Ozzie Guillen anchors the infield. Scott Fletcher finds shortstop. Dan Pasquez at first. And Robin Ventura is over at third. Sammy Sosa, the young phenom, is in right field. Lance Johnson in center. Warren Newsom takes over for the injured Tim Raines tonight.
Take a look at the Windy City. There you see that fog I was talking about, and that's what that is. And as you come back, Comiskey Park across the street. The old Comiskey's being torn down. You can't stand it, close your eyes. It's tough to look at if you love baseball, but I'll tell you something. Once you come to this ballpark directly across the street, the new Comiskey, Joe Morgan, it is an impressive baseball facility.
Well, this lady is a little prettier than the one we just saw across the street. I kind of like this one. It's a very beautiful ballpark.
And they are drawing a lot of folks in, and let's see how this game develops tonight. Ricky Henderson will be leading it off. Ricky, Law, and Canseco. You can see the numbers for him. He's not been getting on, so he's not been doing a lot of running. He hasn't had a stolen base in the last 7 games, in fact. But he has done that again this season, those leadoff home runs.
That's amazing. He has 2 leadoff home runs this year. I mean, 46, that's an unbelievable total.
All that speed and yet all that power to go with it. And Charlie Hough floats that one in. Joe, the one thing you must be against Tuff, the pitcher, is patient.
Exactly. He will dance the knuckle. He'll try to throw a strike like he did there at first pitch. The next ones he'll throw a little harder and get more movement out of it. So if you get behind in the count and you start chasing it, you will be in a lot of problems. If you're going to hit the knuckleball, the first strike is usually the one to hit.
1-1 count on Ricky, and the floater's down low. As a result of that ball moving around the way it does, Charlie Hough will take hitters deep into the pitch count. You will see a lot of 3-2s, 3-1s, 3-0s develop in this game. And then you've got one right here, 3-1. That will be the story for Hough, whether he's on or off.
He does not like a lot of knuckleball pitchers throw sliders or fastballs 3-1. He continues to throw the knuckleball. Well, it's a fastball, so he's...
How could you tell?
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. The first knuckleball was 61 miles an hour. Well, this one was 78, so that's the difference. 17 miles an hour difference.
That was Charlie's fastball.
Or changeup.
Or changeup, whichever, depending on where you come from, right? 3-2 delivery to Henderson, and the floater is fouled off. Hough has had great success against this Oakland team. Lifetime 15 wins and 8 losses against the Oakland A's. 187 career wins and 171 losses coming into this ball game. Charlie, who was injured at the beginning of the season, problems with his heels, which have continued to bother him walking but not pitching, which is kind of tough to describe, but that's the way it is. Been able to pitch, but when he has to go walk, it's been a struggle for him. 3-2, and that he did not want to do. He has put the leadoff batter, Ricky Henderson, on base. That's what happened on Friday night. The White Sox, Bobby Thigpen coming on to win it. Chitrin took the loss. You see the White Sox won it in the bottom of the 9th inning. They have won 10 games in their last at-bat. Then last night in the slugfest, it was the A's in the 9th inning. 3 runs, winning it 7-4. Eckersley getting his 14th save, and Tony La Russa spending the end of the ball game in the clubhouse as he was heaved. After he heaved the bat up on the screen, he will be fined by the league for that.
Managers throwing bases and bats, whatever.
Some real strong feelings running between these two teams, and particularly between the two managers. Now we will see the game begin. A little cat and mouse. Remember, Ricky Henderson hasn't picked up a stolen base in the last 7. But Henderson obviously is going to take the chance to run here. It takes a long time for that knuckleball to get to the plate. Luis Polonia leads the league with 18 stolen bases. Henderson has 16. He is second. And when Henderson has been running, which was 7 games ago, he swiped his 10th straight base.
Man, that says Ricky Henderson is an average Major League base stealer.
And I'll pay him the average Major League salary.
That tells you that statistics don't always tell the truth.
And the floater misses down low. Vance Law. Third base is still open. Carney Lansford with the A's. He is working out with the team. Tony La Russa is so impressed with the effort Lansford's putting on. In the meantime, Riles and Law are getting the opportunities at third base. Lansford obviously a tremendous investor on both at the plate and defensive. The 1-0 bunting and a great bunt. Hough will have to go to first. Off balance to Pasqua. Good play. Sacrifice.
Vance Law sacrifices, but that is not the way that you picture the Oakland A's to be aggressive baseball players. Hough throws off balance and gets Law because Law doesn't run that well. But the point is, you have Ricky Henderson on first base, all-time leading base stealer in the history of the game. You have a knuckleball pitcher on the mound. When the ball is jumping around, it's very tough for the catcher to throw him out, yet they bunt.
That is surprising.
Very surprising.
Obviously wanting to stay out of the double play situation potentially, but even that's likely not to happen when you've got Henderson running. Jose Canseco has had a tough road trip. 4 for 20 on the road trip. Average has dipped now to that 228. He struggles against Charlie Hough. I told you got to have patience, and a big swinger like Canseco, not just because it's him, but the guys who like to really wind up and take the big cuts, do not do well against off-speed pitchers, especially as off-speed as Charlie Hough is. 200 lifetime average against Tuff. He's had 8 hits and 40 at-bats, including 1 home run off Charlie. 0-1, 1 away. Ricky at second, being bluffed back. Nobody covering the bag.
I asked Jose Canseco before the ball game how he handled knuckleball pitchers. He just kind of gave me a little frown. I said, yeah, like everyone else. Knuckleball pitchers are tough because you do not know which way the ball is going to dance.
And the floater is on the outside corner. Some of the things we'll tell you tonight will amaze you that the A's are still in first place, I think. You look at Jose Canseco and you figure when it comes to scoring runs, this guy's got to be about a 300 hitter with runners in scoring position. He's batting 174 with runners in scoring position this season. This time they get coverage as Scott Fletcher moved over. Now there's a twosome. Fletcher and Henderson had big comments during last night's bench clearing affair. No particular reason why that happened, except Fletcher happened to be closest to Ricky, and Ricky was screaming out about how the White Sox were throwing at him earlier in the game, and Fletcher invited him over. 0-2 count on Canseco. Ricky was good. They got him picked. Scotty running in. Fletcher tags him out. He was going to steal third.
Well, that will break his consecutive stolen base streak, as that is considered a caught stealing. Nice move by Charlie Hough and Scott Fletcher. Fletcher's chasing him the wrong way. Really, he should give the ball up and let him chase him back to second in case he does make it back safely. You don't want to chase him toward the next base. And Ricky was going, but you're running him the wrong way, Scott.
Now Canseco to short. Ozzie Guillen hauls it in, and that's going to do it. Charlie Hough gets away with a leadoff walk to Ricky Henderson. And only 3 A's come to the plate. Oakland and Chicago, no score. It'll be another packed house here at Comiskey Park tonight as they will fill it up yet one more time. And for the White Sox, the new man, Warren Newsom, will be leading it off. Lance Johnson in center field. Big man offensively, Frank Thomas. He'll be the DH. Danny Pasqua, he'll be working at first base now, batting cleanup. Robin Ventura, very solid third baseman and a good hitter. Sammy Sosa, big power for a little guy. Ozzie Guillen's off to a great start at shortstop. Scott Fletcher will be at second base, and Don Wakamatsu doing the catching and batting ninth. They're going to have to work at it tonight. He'll be going against one of the red-hot pitchers. He can equal the league high in wins with a victory. That's 7-2 mark. Second best in wins. Even though the hits are more than innings pitched, he's getting a lot of run support this season. And his battery mate is going to be Jamie Quirk.
Well,
Jamie?
Big difference in his record this year as compared to last, but not much difference in the way that he has pitched. The A's have scored a lot of runs for Mike Moore, and he's been keeping them in the ball game until they do score runs. Defensively for the Oakland A's, Mark McGwire won his first Gold Glove last year. He's at first base. Mike Gallego, fine defensive second baseman. Walt Wise, good shortstop. And Vance Law, fresh from his stint over in Japan, at third. Dave Henderson, the hottest hitter on the A's and the guy that's been leading them all season, is in center. Ricky Henderson, of course, in left, and Jose Canseco in right.
This is the newest member of the Chicago White Sox, Warren Newsom. He was called up this past week from their AAA team, acquired originally from San Diego with Joey Cora and Kevin Garner in a deal worked in March of this season. Very strong AAA averages, and they say this is Kirby Puckett reincarnated.
From the left side, huh?
Looks like him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Built like him, like a tank.
If he can only hit like him.
Well, he had the numbers at AAA. He's batting .369 in 33 games at Vancouver, 2 home runs, 19 RBIs, and he is a lifetime .305 minor league hitter. 1-1 pitch to him. Not this time. There is Jeff Torborg, the skipper of the White Sox. Held a very brief team meeting, I think, just to make sure the club was focused after what happened last night. Remember, he has still the youngest team average age going in the major leagues. 1-2 by Moore. I want to check to see if he went around with it, and Rick Reed says no. Joe's normal stomping companion on Sunday night, John Miller, is not here tonight because he's got a daughter graduating. So we congratulate John and his daughter, and John will be back next Sunday here in the ESPN. A pleasure to sit in here and be doing a game with you.
Well, especially here in Chicago. This is your old stomping ground.
Yeah. Come to this ballpark anytime at all. 2-2. And Moore is gone with a strikeout. He got him. Newsom looking at it.
Well, that's what the players call a backdoor slider. Starts on the outside. Here's Ricky Henderson being picked off to end the first inning. He was breaking back to second, and they chase him the wrong way. Watch, Ventura gets out of the way. Now, if Fletcher does not catch up with him, Ricky's going to be safe at third.
Strange series of plays to start that half inning for the A's. Here is Lance Johnson, a speedster. They like to get on base. Given the opportunity, can steal a few. Really helped the defense of the Chicago White Sox in the outfield last year. There's that Walt Reniak style of hitting with that head down, following through with that big swing. He's not had a lot of success against the A's thus far this season. White Sox won the season series last year 8-5 against Oakland, including 5 out of 6 at Oakland, which I think helped to heat up the rivalry between these two teams. Oakland's got the advantage 4-2 thus far this season. He went around on it, and Moore, 42 strikeouts on the season now for Mike Moore as he strikes out the first 2 White Sox batters.
Lance Johnson tries to hold up on this split finger, but watch the ball move away from him, down and away. And he could not hold up. Get a look at it from this angle. You see he could not hold up, and Joe Brinkman didn't need any help.
Moore's had a high of 8 strikeouts this season. Got it a couple of starts ago against Toronto. 42 in 58 innings. And here's the big guy, Frank Thomas. I went into the clubhouse to talk with Frank before tonight's game very early, just to ask him about the situation as far as the arm and throwing. It's so tough for him to talk about it right now, and understandably so. He just doesn't know what the problem is. And the White Sox have got to have him in the lineup. He's their big bopper. He's producing hits and runs and home runs. He's supposed to play at first base, was doing an outstanding job there until this problem came, and he just couldn't throw the baseball. He fouls it off, 2-1.
Unlike most big guys, Frank Thomas is a pretty good hitter in that his stroke is to right center, left center. That keeps him in the hitting zone a little longer. A lot of big guys are almost dead pull hitters, which means they start their bats a little sooner, which means it's easier to fool them because they don't wait as long.
And Moore is picking it clean right now as he hits the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down, no score, bottom of the first. 7 wins, 11 losses lifetime against Chicago for Mike Moore. 105 wins, 124 losses lifetime. Has been both a starter and a reliever. 2-2. Thomas to third. Law. And the pitchers control the first inning. Moore with a couple of strikeouts, and he'll face only 3 as he retires the side in order. As you take a look from atop the new Comiskey Park. Talk about great rivalries. That Mets-Cincinnati one has developed over the seasons. A couple of ball clubs always at the top. What a beautiful night, huh? Ooh, beautiful sky here in Chicago. Guy who's seen a lot of the sky here in Chicago, Harold Baines. He was a member of the Chicago White Sox from 1980 to 1989 when he was traded over to the Texas Rangers and then moved on to Oakland in 90. 288 lifetime hitter. Baines, he is off to a great start. 32-year-old veteran who's got 12 years of experience.
The shift they use on Harold Baines is strange. They play him to pull on the infield and straightaway in the outfield.
Floater by Hough misses away. Baines played for the White Sox and was a teammate of Charlie Hough playing in Texas, so he's got all kinds of connections coming into this game. He waited on it, but he popped it up behind second base. And that'll be hauled in by Ozzie Guillen. Guillen doesn't make many plays there, and he ran the other way. Second base over. These 2 orders feature some guys in the middle who can deliver the long ball. You see the A's 3 through 5, the 21 home runs which they rely on, 4th in the league. Look at the RBIs, 2nd. Compare that with the Chicago White Sox. White Sox heart of the order this season has really done some struggling, and it's one of the reasons why they're not getting a lot of runs. One misses up high to Dave Henderson. 1 down here in the second inning.
Dave Henderson is one of the most refreshing guys in all of baseball. He's always smiling. He just has fun on the baseball field. You watch him after a game, you can't tell whether he was 5 for 5 or 0 for 5. He just has a smile all the time. He says, it's just great to be here. I'm having fun.
Maybe the best attitude in baseball.
Right. A lot of great teams have a personality like that on the ball club. The Reds had Tony Perez, who was very similar, very quiet, just a fun-loving guy, loved to play baseball. And those types of guys help you, especially when things get tough.
1-1 with 1 away, and Huff misses inside. And Joe, they say, you ask the players on the Oakland A's, he's also a leader in the clubhouse.
Right. Well, he's a talkative guy to his teammates. And he's a funny guy. You know, he makes jokes. He's really a fun guy.
It's great to be around him before the game, I'll tell you, because he's just the same way, taking BP in infield. 3 ball, 1 strike count. And Hendu takes the strike on the inside corner. 3-2. Comiskey Park in Chicago. Gary Thorne, Joe Morgan. Great to have you with us. Our Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. This is the 3rd of a 4-game series between these 2 teams. They have split the first 2. The 3-2 is fouled off into the White Sox dugout.
Dave Henderson hits the ball pretty much straight away when he's hitting singles. When he goes for the long ball, he is a pull hitter. Most of his balls left center to center field.
Full count delivery to him, and he'll fight that one off. He's also a lot poorer today. He thought that the game started at 7 o'clock last night. White Sox start at 6. He missed the team bus. He missed batting practice. And he showed up, and Tony La Russa had hung a sign on his locker saying, "Thanks for paying for the team party." 3-2 delivery. And he's on with a walk. That's the second walk given up by Hough. Charlie coming into the game had walked 20 in 39 innings, so he'll give up a few.
Here's Charlie Huff's knuckleball. Watch, there's no spin on the ball. That's what makes it tough to hit, because the seams will tumbling one way or the other, and that's the way the ball will break. A slider, you can see the spin, you know it's going to break across. A fastball, you can see the spin and know whether it's going to sink or not. But a knuckleball is a dead pitch, so therefore you don't know exactly which way it's going. That's why it's such a tough pitch to hit and to catch.
Mark McGwire, first baseman, runner at first. See what McGwire can do against him, holding Dave Henderson at first base. McGwire, a .240 lifetime hitter, 6 for 25 with a couple of home runs off Charlie Hough. You see the numbers for Mark McGwire. Story of McGwire: average low, RBIs high. Right field. Danny Sosa. And there are 2 down. Dave Henderson will take the walk back to first base. So McGwire went after him early.
Again, if you get a good pitch to hit on the first pitch, you should attack the knuckleballer, because it will only get tougher to hit if they get ahead of you in the count.
It's so hard to wait. You can see the hitters counting almost.
Well, Charlie throws more than one speed on the knuckleball. There's the slow knuckleball that he throws to try to control it, to get ahead. Once he gets ahead of you, he throws it a little harder to make it move a little quicker or move a little more. Phil Necro was an expert at that. Won over 300 ball games doing that. White Wilhelm, of course, was also a great knuckleball pitcher.
Jamie Quirk with the runner at first, and Henderson may have been leaning towards second base. We should tell you now, last night, with Terry Steinbach getting hit in the head with that pitch by Thigpen, he's at Mercy Hospital in Chicago. He stayed there last night, will stay there tonight. He's coming along fine. He does have a concussion, but they believe that will be it, and he'll be all right. He'll travel with the team after the game tomorrow. So Jamie Quirk, as a result, is now the #1 catcher for the next 2, 3, whatever days it's going to take. They placed Kurt Young, the left-handed pitcher, on the 15-day DL today, left hamstring pull, and they have called up Troy Afner from the Pacific Coast League, who will be the backup catcher for tonight's game. Question, is he here? He's here. He has arrived. He wasn't here earlier this afternoon. So they do have a backup catcher tonight. But Jamie Quirk, last night, game-tying home run and the game-winning single, as the A's beat the White Sox 7-4 with that 3-run 9th inning.
Quirk is a good fastball hitter, but he will not see very many fastballs tonight.
Right field, Sammy Sosa. Look at the wind playing with this one. Lance Johnson, the center fielder, moves over and takes it. Sosa had moved in on the baseball, and Johnson thought he ought to cover up, so he did. Runner left at first.
Miller presents streaks, peaks, and valleys. The Pirates on a roll. They sweep the Phillies again. They've won 9 in a row overall. Ruben High Sierra red hot for the Rangers, but in a valley, fittingly, Dave Valley of the Mariners, getting plunked twice. Tough batting average. Back to Gary and Joe.
Nice job, Chris. Hey, that's Chris Berman.
Yeah.
He's that back guy.
Boomer.
Boomer. Yeah, that's him. He will be keeping us posted tonight. What's going on in the only other night game, Texas and Seattle. What's going on now is they're sitting around eating because it's raining.
Oh.
So you guys down there in Texas, great to have you with us. We mentioned the heart of the order. For the White Sox, look at the difference here. Only 12 home runs last and next to last in RBIs. Ooh.
That would tell you if they're looking for another bat to go in the middle of the lineup.
They are doing that. Here's Danny Pasqua. Danny will do a little platooning now at first base for the White Sox, with Thomas going to the bench, left-handed hitter. He'll play tonight for those reasons. Big numbers against Maryland. And Mike gets him on a great off-speed pitch. Pasqua, Walt Reniak disciple, virtually every day comes out and takes extra batting practice. Works with Walt day after day after day, and believes in Charlie Lau, Walt Reniak theories of hitting. Fastball's up high, 1-1.
There are actually 2 different styles of hitting now. Walt Reniak has a different style than Charlie Lau did. The funny thing about hitting instructors or theories on hitting.
Towards short. There was nobody there. Law was playing in. Weiss was swung over towards second base, and Danny Pasqua has the first hit of the ball game. Little runner through into left field.
It's away, and he just slaps it into left field. Law, being in tight, could not cover much ground there, and Walt Weiss, playing a little bit over towards second base, could not get there in time. What I was going to say about hitting theories, there are a lot of different theories, but they're hitting, really, there are only 4 or 5 fundamentals about hitting that you have to learn. Anyone can learn those. The tough part is execution. You have to execute those fundamentals. And how you execute them is what a hitting instructor is all about. The funny thing I see with a Chicago White Sox group, when they all swing the same or whatever, I think that also helps a pitcher. A pitcher can get in one groove and know exactly how to pitch every hitter in the lineup.
Taken down low. Well, Walter will disagree with you on that, Joe.
Right, I'm sure he will.
Walter will say that I do not tell hitters to all hit the same way. I give them a basic philosophy about how to get the bat through the strike zone as quickly as possible. But if they feel more comfortable doing one thing or another, then that's what they should do.
Well, that's what they should do.
And
each guy is built different than another guy. One guy's strength may be his speed of hand. Another guy's strength in his swing may be just that, strength. He may be very strong. Another guy may have good timing, and therefore you would have 3 different swings. I also think a guy's personality enters into his hitting. It's a mental state of mind that you have as a hitter.
Mike Moore with a 1-2 count. Danny Pasqua at first base, and that'll miss outside.
To give you an example, you know, everyone that saw Willie Mays play could see that that was his personality when he was in the batter's box, the way he swung. The people that saw Ted Williams, very calculating. He knew exactly what he wanted to do on every pitch. Your personality enters into that. Some guys have they're just aggressive, like Jose Canseco. Some guys have controlled aggression. For instance, like Ricky Henderson, who is patient at the plate, but he's also aggressive. You have to attack the baseball, but you do it in a different way, and your personality becomes involved in that. And that's why I think there are so many different styles of hitting, why there are so many different approaches. But they all observe the fundamentals.
2-2 towards second base. Gonna tag him. Pasqua's gone, and a nice play by Gallego to get Ventura. So the White Sox had the leadoff man on, but Mike Gallego comes up with a double play, putting the tag himself on Danny Pasqua. And they're 2 down, nobody on.
Not a good base running play by Pasqua. You either have to run over the guy right here. When he comes to tag you, you have to run over him. You don't let him tag you and then throw to first base. If he bumps Gallego, he would not have been able to complete the double play on Ventura. You have to run into him. You can't let him run up and tag you and throw to first base.
Just like that, Mike Moore has 2 down and nobody on, and will face Sammy Sosa, who can deliver the long ball and has done so once against Moore in his career. Sosa does not particularly look like a power hitter in the uniform. He's not big of stature, but his upper body strength is enormous. He's one of the weight people in baseball who constantly works out lifting. Tremendous power when he gets the bat on the ball. Not that time. Moore down and away on him, and the count is 0-2. Sammy this season batting just .181 against the Oakland A's. And you see what he's done with 2 strikes on him. He is not particularly strong at guarding that strike zone. He'll swing at pitches away, particularly away from him. Results in a lot of strikeouts. Not this time. Moore last season picked up 13 wins and 15 losses. What a start he's on now. 7-2, has won the last 2. Looks like he's for real for this year. Sosa fouls it off. Mike Moore kind of an anomaly about whether or not he should be a starter or reliever. He bounced back and forth between the 2. One of the problems he had last season, he just didn't get much in the way of runs. And they've really changed that this year. For Mike Moore last year, the run support, look at this. 3.8 last year. They're up to 5.5 in baseball. That is a big difference.
Very big difference, but 3.8 is a lot of runs as well. I mean, a good pitcher will have an earned run average of under 3 if he's real good, and if he's not, he'll have between 3.2 and 3.5. So either way, that's below the average amount of runs that they gave him last year.
That one bouncing and caught the umpire, Joe Brinkman. Quirk went down to block it. Looked like it went right through him and ended up hitting Joe Brinkman and ricocheted over into the dugout. Ow.
This ball is a split-fingered fastball. It bounces, but it doesn't come up. Quirk tried to block it, but the ball stayed down and went between his legs and got Brinkman on his right knee.
Joe might want to rethink the umpiring style of knee on ground. Whoa. That cut him right on the kneecap, I think, right above any protection he's got.
Or he may want to grab Quirk on the shoulders and hold him down in front of him.
2-2, 2 down, nobody on. Moore's delivery to Sosa is going to be an extra base hit down the line. It is a fair ball. Ricky Henderson chasing it down. Sosa on his way to second. We'll have our first extra base hit, a stand-up double.
Because of the split-fingered fastballs and sinkers and things like that, you'll get hitters now becoming better low ball hitters than ever before. They have to look down to handle pitches with 2 strikes. This is a split finger down. See where it is? Low and out over the plate. Sosa goes down and gets it. Watch how he gets down on this ball and stays down. Goes right through it. That's a good piece of hitting there by Sammy Sosa.
So he's got himself in scoring position now for Ozzie Guillen. No score. Bottom of the second, there are 2 down. That is the 3rd double of the season for Sammy Sosa. Second hit off Mike Moore. Both of them coming in this inning. The double play enormous in this inning now. And Guillen going after the first pitch as he normally does. Puts it out to Ricky Henderson, and that will do it. No runs, 2 hits, and a base runner left on at second. We've completed 2 at Comiskey. That's the old Comiskey Park across the street. The old scoreboard's still up for sale. Nobody's bought it yet. So there it stands. Seats are all been taken out. $250 each. Proceeds go to White Sox charities. Mike Gallego against Charlie Hough, and he takes it for a strike. No score as we go to the 3rd. Gallego, Weiss, and the top of the order, Ricky Henderson, due up.
Gary, that scoreboard won't fit in most people's houses. That's probably why it's not sold yet.
You know what they thought of? They thought some business or something would want to buy that and put it up outside of their structure somewhere, or some company would want to buy it, put it up somewhere. Hey, it's got fireworks built in, folks.
See, that bubblegum card they bought will fit in your house. They paid $500,000 or whatever for it.
That's right.
But that scoreboard's probably about $500,000 or whatever. It won't fit in your house.
What they put for a price on that? 2 ball, 1 strike count. And another Hough pop-up that time off the bat of Gallego to center. Lance Johnson's there. Gallego's gone 1 away. Well, they have won 3 consecutive American League pennants. Look at the numbers there. 104, 99, 103. They've got 29 wins thus far this season, on their way to about a 96-win season if they continued at the current pace. The Oakland A's, very tough team. Talking to Tony La Russa about it before the game, about how he keeps these guys so focused. And he says, what I keep telling them is how fragile it is. It's so fragile. Walt Weiss, you got to come every day. You got to believe. You have to stay focused, and you have to work at it. And thus far, he's been able to get the players to do that.
Well, it's amazing to me that they're able to play as well as they have with all the injuries to keep people, and the fact that they've done it on pitching in the past, and their pitching stats are not nearly as good as they've been in the past. You know, 4.65 earned run average, you know, is very high for the Oakland A's. Plus, they have not really produced runs like you would think an Oakland A's team would do.
That'll be caught at second base. Fletcher's got it, and there are 2 down. Walt Weiss, he is struggling. 5 hits in his last 41 at-bats now. 2 down.
But all they do is win, and that's the sign of a good team. If you can win when things are not going great, that tells you how good you are. And they believe that they're good. That's the other part of it.
Joe, how about the fact their club pitching is now last in the American League?
That's what I mean. And in the past, they've led the league in pitching. Now they're last.
3 years in a row.
Yeah, and now they're last, but they're still winning.
Ricky, strike.
And that's with Ricky hitting, you know, 250, not doing his normal thing. Canseco hitting 228. You know, McGuire hitting 219. They're not doing the things that they normally do, but they're still putting wins on the board. That either says that the league is not as strong or the West Division not as strong as it has been, or they're just much better than everyone else.
Sure seemed like that. Charlie Hough with 2 down, nobody on. The 0-1 delivery to Ricky's a floater to third. Nice stop by Robin Ventura. Makes the throw to Danny Pasqua, and that will retire the side. Boy, these two pitchers are on right now as Hough sets the side down in order. Still no score.
There's always going to be a controversy surrounding philosophy, especially in hitting, as you know. I don't care about philosophy. I care about commitment. Walt Reniak is an unbelievably committed coach. He gets as much done off the field psychologically with our hitters, and he and our coaching staff did such a great job with our club last year as a whole, keeping them focused on the day in and day out work habits and not being overwhelmed by the media coming from all over.
That's what Jeff Torborg thinks about his batting instructor, and believe me, there is nobody more committed. Every day, day in, day out, he's at him. No score here. So we go to the bottom of the third. Now conclude on Walt Reniak by saying, Joe, I think he is taken to task for something that's not true. He does not try and teach every hitter to hit the same way, but everybody writes the story that way. Still time to get him Law. Fletcher's retired. Fletcher, not great speed. Law was playing in, knocked it down, had time to make the play to McGuire.
Well, maybe a lot of people who do not know a lot about hitting view the Chicago White Sox and they all look the same, and maybe they feel that's what he's doing. Law gets down on this ball, which is the way to do it. Just keep it in front of you. That's all you want to do. Then he picks it up, and he still has time to throw Fletcher out. At third base and second base, sometimes you can knock the ball down and still get the runner. Shortstop, you have to feel the ball cleanly.
The length of that throw. Don Wakamatsu, a 28-year-old out of Hood River, Oregon. Acquired from the Reds during the spring training of '89. Don had been playing AAA ball this season. Called up. Ron Karkovice, the backup catcher, and a real good one, is on the DL. Karkovice is back working out with the team now and may be back shortly. But in the meantime, Wakamatsu's the backup. He's spelling Carlton Fisk in tonight's game. Made his major league debut 22nd of last month. He's batting .127 in 21 games at Vancouver. Wakamatsu last season hit .262 in 62 games at AAA. Had been at AA before that. Maybe he was in the wrong place. He likes major league meals, or the meal money. And the 1-1's up high, 2-1.
A lot of guys like major league meal money, but they don't like major league pitching. They can't handle it.
What's the meal money now? 52.50, something like that?
Not a player.
Yeah.
I'm retired.
Well,
I don't know.
You're in the Hall of Fame. You're supposed to know those things.
Mine is not 52.50.
There's mine. Here's the 2-1 pitch. And Wakamatsu goes through that one out of the strike zone. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I want to talk a little bit more about Reniak because hitting is one of my favorite subjects.
No kidding.
And I asked you a question, you know, in the break, and I said, why is he controversial? And I think you should give your answer to the public because there are some misconceptions. You know, people write certain things, and that's what the public hears.
Walter's going to hate me for all this airtime he's getting because if there's somebody who likes to hide in the corner and work, it's that man right there, Walt Reniak. But I do think he takes a bad rap. 2-2. Now, the reason, Joe, as I said, writers and broadcasters, us included, have talked about Walt Reniak in terms of trying to make everybody hit the same way. He doesn't do that. He has a philosophy about how to get the bat through the strike zone as fast as possible because that is what gives you the greatest contact with a baseball and power to hit the ball hard. That's all. That's all he works on. 3-2. And he has one theory. T-shirts are made up. We can't give you the whole language, but it says keep your blank head down. That is the #1 rule in hitting, to see the ball as long as you can. And that's why sometimes the batters all look alike, because they keep their head down so long, including after they've made contact with the baseball. That's what Walter's theory is. That's what he's talking about right there. He's talking on the bench, and that's what Jeff Torborg was talking about. He never stops talking about and teaching hitting. That's why Torborg is so strong on it. Wakamatsu draws a walk. first given up by Mike Moore. And here in the third inning, the White Sox have a man on with 1 out. And it'll be the top of the order. Called out on strikes his first time up, Warren Newsom. The White Sox come into this game as a team, batting at .259. They're in the middle of the pack in the American League. Oakland at .258 right behind them. But there the similarities end. Because the Chicago White Sox, while they are 7th in average, they are 11th in runs. Oakland is 8th in average and 1st in runs. One of the big reasons, Oakland's 5th in home runs and the White Sox are 12th. The other big reason, Oakland's drawn more walks than any other team in the league. Chicago is 11th. So Oakland's getting people on base via the walk and driving them in with a long ball. The White Sox aren't getting them on base. They aren't picking up extra base hits. Moore with a runner at first and 1 out. In close at third is Law. Runner goes and fouled off on the hit and run.
I think those are the criticisms that I had read against, Walt Rainiac, that they didn't hit with any power, hitting from the stances and the approaches that he uses. But that's, here again, you only read what someone else writes.
That one caught him. He took a piece of that on the arm, Jamie Quirk. Backup catcher is Afner. Just called up today with Steinbach still in the hospital after being hit last night. That was some scary. 1-1 count. Oh, we're talking about that. I asked Tony La Russa today. I came early, went in to Tony, and I said, if you were going in the air, what would you say about what happened last night with the brawl? And Tony said, you can come inside all you want, but when you get above the shoulder, I find that irresponsible. He said, I will not take that without saying something about it. And that's what happened last night.
John Miller and I had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, and that was my opinion as well. The problem you have, though, Gary, is that a lot of pitchers do not have as good a control as they think. They're told to pitch inside, and some pitchers cannot pitch inside because they cannot control the ball well enough to pitch inside. So when they try to come inside, the ball gets away, and it's up around the guy's head or shoulders. And when a guy has good control and he wants to knock you down, he will throw the ball, at your shoulder or at your side. He will not throw at your head. But a lot of these guys now do not have good enough control to pitch inside. I feel that's what Tony's talking about.
Wakamatsu at first. And 2-2 the count with 1 away on Newsom. Joe, let me ask you, if you were the manager of a ball club and had a pitcher, and we're not referring to anyone in particular here, had a pitcher who threw hard but really couldn't control it enough to pitch inside, what would you say to him?
Well, depends on who we're playing against.
Excuse me.
Yeah, first of all, you can't take the ball out of that guy's hand by saying stay away, away, away. Yeah. He has to be able to pitch his game or try to. And again, the only way you're going to learn to pitch inside is to use the inside part of the plate. So it's a chicken or the egg theory here. Do you tell him to pitch inside before he learns to get his control in the major leagues, or do you try to wait until he's been here a while and has his feet on the ground? No doubt in my mind, a pitcher has to pitch inside to be effective. You can't let hitters just lean out over the plate and chase your breaking ball and go out and get it. As Tony Perez used to say, you think outside, you don't go out there. And pitchers have to keep you honest by coming inside. I agree they don't have to throw around your head to keep you honest. A ball inside will keep you honest because as a hitter, subconsciously, you start thinking inside. You step away a little bit from the plate, and then you're vulnerable outside. So you do not have to throw the guy's head inside to be effective at keeping him off the plate.
I don't think you answered my question, but I liked everything you said. 2-2 delivery, and he's gone. That is the second time Moore has gotten Newsom on a called third strike, and he set him up again, and there are 2 down. Gary Thorne, Joe Morgan, Comiskey Park in Chicago. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball in stereo. We're available.
Well, let me answer your question, Gary. If I had Ryan Duran pitching for me,
yeah,
I'd say just throw the baseball.
Yeah.
If it happened to go inside every once in a while, that's okay.
Those Coke bottle sunglasses he had, he wasn't sure where it was going anyway.
Yeah. See, the philosophy of pitching has changed a lot since I came into the league, 1964, 65.
Moore's got 2 down, and that's going to be a base hit. Wakamatsu at second base makes the turn. Canseco up with it. Runners at the corner. Lance Johnson delivers a single. And for the second inning in a row, the White Sox will have at least one runner in scoring position with 2 out as Lance Johnson gets the 3rd hit for the Sox.
Lance Johnson is pretty much straightaway hitter. This ball's on the inside part of the plate, so he does pull it. There he swings and pulls the ball in the hole. Wakamatsu lets it go into right field. Canseco's playing a little bit off the line, so it takes him a little while to get to it. Ball wasn't hit like a shot either.
No.
So by the time he picks it up, Wakamatsu is all the way around the 3rd.
Now the White Sox got a chance here. This is their RBI man. Batting .386 with runners in scoring position. 37 RBIs. Second to Dave Henderson in runs batted in. Starting today's play. 2 down though. And Moore comes right at him with heat. Strike 1. This is a legit star for today and tomorrow. Tremendous power. Great strength.
Has a great attitude. I talked to him in the clubhouse before the game. He has a very good attitude about this game and how to approach hitting.
Johnson with speed at first base. Remember, you've got a lead runner, though, Wakamatsu over at 3rd, and there are 2 down. There's Wakamatsu, the catcher. Mike Moore trying to work his way through this 3rd inning. All he needs is 1 more out. Thomas, the 22-year-old, will have to wait a while longer. 7th pick overall. First round selection for the White Sox. You can see he has been on a tear.
I talked about his first time up being a guy that hits the ball all over. This is his home run chart. He's hit the balls from left center to right center, right down the line, right down both lines. So he really he's pretty much a spray hitter with a lot of power. And those are the toughest kind of hitters for pitchers to handle. If a guy's just a big, strong pull hitter, he has weaknesses. And you can hit the ball all over the place. It means you wait on the ball, you have fewer weaknesses.
Fakes to 3rd, looks to first. Not fooled Lance Johnson at first base. Wakamatsu, the lead runner. He drew the 1-out walk. Johnson picked up the single. He's at first. Thomas, because of his great power, also draws a lot of walks. He's second to McGuire in walks. 42 picked up in the season. McGuire's picked up 43. You can see the respect this young man has already gained, and after last year, why not? He had 31 RBIs in 60 games last year, 7 home runs and 191 at-bats. 330 batting average. Ooh. Oh, he got him. Thomas was looking inside, and Mike Moore got him thinking the wrong way to our left on.
Beautiful tie.
Thank you.
What is this?
What is this? This was bought at the art fair here in Chicago. It's a little pin. It's the drama pin from theater for comedy and drama.
Frank Thomas was struck out by Mike Moore to end the inning. Watch this pitch. Perfect pitch, knee high and away. And umpire Joe Brinkman says, perfect pitch, you're out of there. Frank Thomas didn't agree. Most of the time, hitters do not agree on third call strikes, especially if they're knee high and away.
I think he was more embarrassed that he guessed wrong on that. Huh? He's been busted so many times inside because that's his weak spot that he was looking for Moore to do that to him that time, and Moore really crossed him up. Charlie Hough, Mike Moore in a good one here. Top half of the 4th inning. A's still looking for their first hit. Zip on their line score. 0-3-0 for the Sox. The White Sox stranding 3 base runners, and 2 of them have been in scoring position. Moore has walked 1 and struck out 4. Charlie Hough, no strikeouts, couple of walks. Vance Law takes the pitch for a strike, and the fog's rolling in.
Yeah, that fog you were talking about downtown is moving into Comiskey Park.
They've already
a lot
had
of strikes there by Charlie Hough, too.
Not bad, huh? They've already had one fog delay here. And it's really blowing in off the lake. Temperatures here have been crazy the last few days. 0-2 delivery to short. Ozzie. Oh, he makes an error. That has been a problem for the White Sox this season. That is their 20th error.
And his 9th.
Second only to the Yankees' 23 errors.
When I watched him go after this ball, it looked like he was going to have problems. See, he was so deep that he never got in front of the ball. He couldn't slide over to get in front of it. And that makes it tough. Right about now, you want to slide over and get in front of it and cradle a ball into you. But he could not do that. And that's how you make errors. He was pretty deep, though. He was going to have a tough play anyway.
Had a long run. Talking about those errors, Yankees and White Sox, that's the position of third and short, the left side of the infield. The Yankees and the White Sox have really been a problem. 23 Yankee errors, 20 White Sox errors. A's are third with 16 errors from the left side, sporting the absence of Carney Lansford in part. Now with nobody out, man on, Charlie Hough will hold Law at first base. Danny Pasqua there. Canseco lined out his first time up.
So I didn't answer one of your questions earlier, so answer mine. How are the A's in first place?
Well, Dave Henderson. Look at that one. Foul ball.
I mean, they're one of the leaders in error, one of the worst pitching staff. I mean, how are they in first place?
Dave Henderson, home runs, walks, stolen bases.
Well, okay. That'll work.
They're picking up a lot of total bases, too. A lot of extra
That'll work.
bases.
Here's a picture of a knuckleball. Watch, see it dance. There's no movement on it. Remember, this is super slow motion. The ball is dancing as it comes to the plate. Makes it very tough to hit.
And catch.
And catch.
1-1 count.
And call if you're an umpire.
Oh, yeah.
Umpires will tell you that, you know, it's very tough because it's where the ball enters the strike zone. It's where it crosses the plate, not where the catcher catches it. Because knuckleballs will sometimes come across the plate and really jump down, you know, downward or move to the side. And it looks like it's a ball when it was actually in the strike zone.
1-1, misses down low this time. And the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Canseco trying to be patient here. You see he's not been able to do much of that. Line drive he hit his first time up in the first inning. Not a screamer. It's hit to Canseco at short. To Ozzie Guillen, rather, at short by Canseco. Hough will hold Law again, this time getting the dive back in the first base.
Well, Law gave him a move towards second base like he was going on that pitch. And Hough caught sight of it. Watch Law. See right there? He was kind of leaning towards second base. And Hough caught him.
Breaking ball missing inside now. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Let's get back to my favorite subject.
All right.
I'm often asked, you know, as I travel around by players, what did I do to try to hit a knuckleball? What I did was move closer to the pitcher. That gave the ball less time to dance. Gave it less time to break.
Right up to the top of the box.
Exactly. As close as I could get to the pitcher without, you know, getting out of the batter's box.
Sure.
The farther back you stand, that gives it 1 more foot to break away from it or to break out of the strike zone. I did the same thing with sinker ball pitchers. Try to get it before it got to its lowest point.
Do hitters today make those kinds of adjustments?
No,
generally?
no.
I don't think so.
No, they do not. But hitters have their own way of hitting. That's why hitting is, as Jeff Torborg said, there's a lot of different philosophies about hitting. And mine is just my philosophy. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
Taking the big cut, fouls that one off, and the count goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Canseco. And he did take a big cut at that one, and he's shaking his head.
I was talking about hitters' mentality and their personalities. Canseco's is one of all-out attack the baseball, and that's what he does right here. And I mentioned Ricky Henderson was more of a controlled attack, and Carlton Fisk is more of a calculated attack. He thinks about exactly what he's going to do before the pitch comes in each and every case.
Hough trying to hold Law as close as he can. Law hasn't stolen a base, nor has he attempted. He's made 6 throws over, trying to keep the double play in order here. He doesn't want Law to get the big running start over there and a ball hit. 3-2 to Canseco. Make that 7 throws over. Canseco this season has grounded into 5 ground ball double plays. He leads along with Harold Baines, the Oakland A's, in grounding into double plays. And Charlie Hough, when he is on with that knuckler, will get a lot of ground balls. That's why he's concerned about Law.
One of the reasons that Canseco hits in a lot of double plays is not so much that he can't run or anything like that, but he hits the ball so hard. He hit a one hopper to the shortstop or the second baseman, and there's no way you can beat it out. It's just a double play, but he hits the ball so hard that he can't beat the ground balls out.
4 hits in his last 21 at-bats. Canseco waiting, runner goes, and we will do it again on the 3-2 as he fouls that one off.
That was a good swing by Canseco. The ball danced a little bit toward the outside, more or less like a slider, but it was a slow slider. He waited for it and really looked like he would have lined it in the gap in the right center if he'd have made better contact. Watch how he stays there. See, the front shoulder stays there. He does not pull off, and he was aiming toward right center field. That's a good piece of hitting right there. Just did not get all of it.
Jose finished the season with only 3 home runs from August 3 to the end of the year, but he came back this season, picked up 8. Runner goes again, fouls it back. So he's found the long ball touch, but the average has dipped on him here of late. He had some things to say about his manager after Friday night's game. He went into second base and disputed a tag that wasn't made on him, but he was called out anyway. And he said Tony La Russa didn't come out and stand up for him. Tony La Russa, he didn't know, was back in the clubhouse at that particular time with another player. Tony got out there as fast as he could when he heard what was going on, but I think Canseco had something to say to Tony after, a little sheepishly, when he found out his skipper.
Yeah, because Tony does fight for his players. We saw that last night.
Yeah.
He definitely fights for his players, or stands up for them, I should say.
3-2 runner going. Fly ball to center. Lance Johnson. One away. Law at first. So Charlie Hough wins that battle. It took a while. That's the first out of the inning.
Historically, guys with long swings do not hit knuckleball pitchers very well, and Canseco has a pretty long swing. But if they catch it, it will go a long way. A knuckleball travels probably farther than a fastball when it's hit, simply because there's no spin on it to reverse it.
Well, Harold Baines will give it a whirl. Baines has not had a hit yet in this series. He's gone 0 for 6. The big shift is on Harold Baines again. If he bunts the ball to third, he will have a double. Charlie Hough keeping an eye again on Law. 1 out, no score, 4th inning. Floater misses away.
This is the shift they have on Harold Baines. What this tells you, that he hits all his ground balls right here, but he hits all of his fly balls pretty much straight away. That's the shift that they have on him. Playing him around to the right side on the infield and straight away in the outfield.
How'd you do that?
It was fun.
He did that with just his finger. I've never seen it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Magic touch. Huh?
You guys in the Hall of Fame can do it all, can't you?
Yeah, I've been practicing that for a year and a half now.
They finally let you go on the air with it.
Right.
Just a 179 career hitter against the White Sox since he left Chicago through Texas and Oakland, so he's not done well at the plate against former teammates. The 1-1 way outside. Wakamatsu going after it. See, Donnie's got that extra big glove, the catcher, against knuckleball pitchers. You need as much leather as you can get, cowhide, to stop the baseball. That's a big one.
A lot of people at home may be wondering, well, why doesn't Harold Baines just hit the ball down the third baseline for a base hit? It's not that easy with a knuckleball pitcher. It's hard to guide the ball when the ball is dancing so much.
2-1 the count. Runner at first, 1 out.
But if the guys were throwing in regular fastballs, and especially moving the ball away, then he could go ahead and slap it that way.
Look at that. Look at that.
That's the third baseman. That's not Ozzie Guillen. That's Robin Ventura. Guillen is over on the first base side.
There's Ted Williams when you need him, right? That one right where they were playing. Ozzie Guillen, they get the double play. That That's why you keep those stats on the advanced scouts telling you where they hit the baseball.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Miller High Life. Buy that man a Miller. Buy that fan a Miller. By ProGuard gasoline additives for a smoother running engine. And by Thompson's, the brand to trust for all your waterproofing needs.
Picasso would have been proud of that. Oh, is that a picture, folks?
I mean, you're into art tonight, huh?
Look at that. That's outside here, the harbor, along the lake, along Lakeshore Drive. Inside, Danny Pasqua against Mike Moore takes the strike. Danny delivered a single leading off the second inning. He's had 7 hits now in his last 20 at-bats, pushing his average up to 230. And he tears up Mike Moore, batting over 420 against him lifetime. And not that one, 0-2. Mike Moore has won his last 2 starts, both of them against Toronto, 8-4 and 2-1. Last loss against Cleveland, that was 3 starts ago. This will be his first start this year against the White Sox. And Pasqua is gone in a hurry. Mike Moore's got 5 strikeouts, 1 away here in the 4th inning.
Good slider down and in to Pasqua.
If he gets it tonight, he will tie Finley for the league lead in wins. Key, Clemens, and Erickson there with Moore right now. The turnaround for Mike Moore. Robin Ventura coming up. Moore also a ground ball pitcher when he's on. Get a lot of hitters to slap the ball down, which is why you rather pitch on the real grass than on the artificial carpet, where the balls tend to scoot through a little faster. Ground ball pitchers. Ventura batting at 258. Showing a good repertoire of off-speed pitches tonight too by Moore, is getting him in 1-1. One delivery, and that'll be taken away. 2 balls and 1 strike. Moore 31 years old now, and when the White Sox see him coming, doing pretty well against him, hoping they can keep it going this season. As we said, 7-11 lifetime. This may be a different Mike Moore. Robin Ventura has really turned into a solid third baseman. Real good major league player. Very smart, very heady. Never got his season of AAA in, which he probably could have used. 3-1 to him. But they needed him here. The 1987 College World Series, Robin Ventura went into it. A 58-game hitting streak. That would be the end of it. He reached on the air. Joe, you were there.
I was there. I was announcing the game, and I was kind of critical of the scoring because it was a line drive. It looked a little different there, but it was a tough play.
The streak ended in that one. Robin Ventura's on again. The other things he continues to do is draw a lot of walks. Chris keeping us updated on what's going on. Another major league game being played as well. Chris Berman.
Gary and Joe, all sorts of excitement in Arlington. Hey, they're taking the tarp off the field. The Mariners will go with Pat Rice tonight. He had the 1 career win against some guy doing laps. I think his name is Ryan. I think he has 305 wins. First pitch in about 15-20 minutes. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Chris. No score here at Comiskey Park. We are in the 4th inning, 1 down, and Ventura's on at first base. Sammy Sosa doubled his first time up. Bounced. Good stop by Jamie Quirk.
How about those Texas Rangers? They played well, won all those ball games without Nolan Ryan. Great hitters there. Ruben Sierra, Franco, Palmero.
Talk about the middle of an order, huh?
And Gonzalez. They're gonna. Hey, that's awesome. And Brian Downing.
What a great story for Brian Downing.
Good guy too.
Good guy. Believed he was out of baseball. At the last minute spring training, gets the call. Comes in after the season has started. And if he had enough at bats, he'd be leading the league in hitting. Much of the time. He's 4th right now at 344, but he's right on the cusp as far as enough at-bats to qualify for the top 10. Molita, Sierra, Joyner, and Downing are the top 4 going into today's play. Gonzalez at 336. He is 8th in the league. So Texas has 3 of the top 10 hitters in the American League. 1-1 count. Sosa off Quirk. Jamie's having a long night. It's the black and blue night for Jamie Quirk.
The weird thing is he knows that he has to stay in there because Steinbach is hurt, and they don't want to bring a young player in there under these circumstances. It's a high fastball, and it gets the face mask, but that's why they put that thing there. That's why you wear it, to protect yourself against such things happening.
Traded twice, released 5 times, free agency 6 times. All of that for Jamie Quirk. And here he is, for the moment at least, the #1 catcher. St. Louis Cardinals used to be referred to as coach. He coached for a month in 1984. Then he was signed to play by the White Sox. And now he's in Oakland. You want to play baseball, young man, be a catcher. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, no score, 4th inning.
Or a pitcher. Catchers and pitchers now, especially pitchers, have the easiest road to the major leagues. A lot of pitchers breaking down now, arm troubles, arm problems. So pitching, teams never have enough pitching.
Sosa, big numbers against Moore for his career. And that one's towards the hole again, and a Gallego will not have a play. Everybody's safe. Gallego's played over a couple of times on balls that have just been cued off the end of the bat. Ventura goes to second, Sosa at first.
We mentioned Gallego being a very fine defensive second baseman, and he gets a good jump on this pitch, even though it's cued off the end of the bat. Him diving and stopping it keeps Ventura from going around to third on the play. So now runners are still at first and second instead of first and third. Fine play by Gallego. Love those diving second basemen.
Remind you of anyone?
No, no.
No?
No.
We were so fast, you always got to it, didn't have to dive.
No, I played on turf.
Oh, thank you. Here's Ozzie batting at 278. Runners at first and second and 1 out. Ian, a tough hitter against Mike Moore. The White Sox getting yet another chance. Ozzie has struggled getting people in. Batting 205 with runners in scoring position. That's an 8 for 39, as you see there. This has been a real problem for the White Sox. Trying to find some people who can get people home. Budge has done pretty well. Fisk, Thomas has been exceptional in that department. The rest of the team struggled trying to get people in. We've got 2 on here. White Sox have already left 3, 2 in scoring position. Moore with the 0-1 delivery. Ozzie has it bounced. He didn't touch it. And the runners are going to move up. Quirk back to get it all the way to the backstop. Ventura goes to third. And down at second is Sosa.
When you throw a trick pitch, say a knuckleball or split-fingered fastball or fork balls, and you try to keep the ball down, you're always in danger of this happening. The ball bouncing, and because of the spin on the ball, it doesn't go straight into the catcher's stomach where he's trying to block it. You get a lot of erratic spin on it. The ball bounces differently than it would if it was a regular fastball.
Joe, that really shows up. That's his 6th wild pitch.
And he's probably had some great saves by Steinbach and Quirk in the past.
Now the infield will move in at first and third, stay back at second and short. With 1 out, a 1-1 count. And Guillen pops it up. Quirk coming back will not have a play. Ozzie's job here now, at least to get that runner in.
Well, he has to make sure he puts it in play. Even if he hits a ground ball to shortstop or to second base, the runner would be able to score from third. This is a situation where the third base coaches, I see him over talking to Ventura. He has to tell him either go on contact or you're tagging up on a fly ball. If you're going on contact, when he swings the ball and goes into the ground, you take off, even if it's to the first baseman, Mark McGuire, or to the third baseman, Vance Law, you still have to go.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, no score. White Sox are threatening before a packed house at Comiskey. Moore's pitch to left field. Ricky Henderson. It's not deep. Tagging up Robin Ventura. Ventura makes the break. He's coming home. Ricky's throw to the plate is not in time.
Well, the A's got an unlucky bounce there because Ricky's throw was going to beat Ventura to the plate. Watch, Ricky gets in perfect position. He is a Gold Glove winner. This is an accurate throw right down the line. Watch, the throw is going to beat him, but it bounces high, and that allows Ventura to beat the throw to the plate. Throw is right on line. You want it to be a one-hopper, and as an outfielder, you hope this ball skids, but it bounces real high, and that allows the runner to score.
To the dismay of Jamie Quirk, he was ready to block the plate.
And good base running by Sosa. He went all the way around the third.
13th RBI for Guillen and his 4th sacrifice fly of the year. The White Sox are on the board, 1-0. Now there are 2 down for Fletcher, who's got a runner at third base. Sammy Sosa, who has speed. And Scott Fletcher takes the pitch outside, ball 1. Just in case, Vance Law at third is just off the cut of the grass at the start of the windup and moved in on the grass at the start of the pitch in case any squeeze might be contemplated here. There you see Law. There are 2 away. Stop right there is what you were talking about.
Yeah. And very dangerous. One of the great things as a hitter, when you stand in the batter's box in a situation like this, you block out the low pitch, because you say, if it's low, I'm not going to swing at it anyway. It may bounce away and get the runner home. So you have to zone in. By that, you make the ball start above your waist, and do not chase anything that starts below your waist. And that ball, they're lucky there. That one hit the right foot of Quirk. So they've had 1 break and 1 go against them here.
Fletcher batting at just .219, a .281 with runners in scoring position this season, including a bases loaded game-winning hit in the 9th inning on Friday. The White Sox battled back from a 4-0 deficit in Friday's game, with Fletcher coming away with the game winner. The White Sox, 10 of their 21 wins this season have been in their last at-bat. It's taking it down to the wire. Next half your wins. 3-0 count, 2 down. Green light. 3-1.
There's Mike Moore. We're going to show you the 2 different grips that Mike Moore uses. One, this is a fastball grip. See, the fingers are close together, cross the seams, and this is what it looks like. That's the rotation of a fastball. You can see that if you're the hitter. Now, this is a split finger. See how his fingers are split apart? Now, watch how the ball tumbles. You cannot see that until it's right on top of you. Good camera work there. Nice slow motion replay of that.
If only it was
only that easy if you're hitting.
You can see that spin of the ball, yeah.
But you know, it's funny, I think Ted Williams saw it like that.
Scary.
Yeah. Some guys see the ball better than others, and he's probably saw it better than anyone in the history of the game.
3-1 count on Fletcher. Sosa at third base with 2 down. Moore to him. Popped him up to first. Mark McGuire. And that will do it. So they get a run on a hit, leaving a base runner on at third. Chicago leading Oakland by a score of 1-0. Robin Ventura coming in. The throw by Ricky Henderson, taking the big hop as Jamie Quirk could have covered the plate. Not for that hop. ESPN's Tuesday Night Baseball. It'll be the New York Mets and their speedster Vince Coleman. They'll go to Cincinnati to take on the Reds. Coleman leading the league in stolen bases. Howard Johnson starting the day tied for 2nd in home runs and tied for 3rd in RBIs. They'll be getting it on Tuesday night, 7:30 right here on ESPN. Here in Chicago, Comiskey Park, the White Sox have taken the 1-0 lead. Guillen getting the RBI, and we go to the top of the 5th inning. Charlie Hough is getting it done, facing Dave Henderson. Hasn't struck anybody out, has walked 2, and has not given up a hit.
As players, when you sit on the bench and you face a knuckleball pitcher, you say to your other teammates, let's just stay close and we'll be able to get him in the end. Because a knuckleball pitcher will have problems with his control later in the game if he gets a little tired or something happens. He will not be able to keep that consistency throughout the ball game.
Anderson waiting on it, fouls that one off. 2 ball, 1 strike count on Dave. Was batting at .331.
Dave says he's not hitting any different now than he was when he was hitting over .350. He said the problem is they're catching him. He says he's hitting the ball well, but they're right at somebody.
Some really big numbers for him. Tied with Rob Deere, home runs 12, leading in RBIs 39, third in runs, first in total bases, second in slugging percentage. All that for Dave Henderson. 2-2 delivery by Hough. Didn't quite time it, fouls it off. Count holds at 2-2. Hindu even smiling with that at bat.
Yeah.
He's talking to Wakamatsu, and every time Charlie Hough throws a pitch, he smiles back at Hough. I don't know why.
Hey, you know, that's Dave Henderson's personality. But can you imagine, here's a guy that's been in the postseason, you know, the last 4 out of the last 5 years, and he's been released twice. The Giants released him and the Boston Red Sox. I mean, one of the better players in the league.
And he'll tip his cap to Charlie Hough right there. That's the first strikeout. Little movement on that away from Henderson. 1 down.
This knuckleball acts a little bit like an off-speed slider. Watch the glove, the target there. Now watch it moves away from him, down and away. That's a good pitch. Dave Henderson goes after it, and he's in pretty good shape right there. But as the ball moves away from him, he can't extend enough to get out there to it and keep it on track, keep his bat on track.
Mark McGwire. I better get this in. Mark found me and said, make sure you say to Billy Andres, my good buddy, congratulations on winning the Kemper Open. Billy, he says you watch every game, and he's going to call you as soon as this one is done to congratulate your win in the Kemper today. Congratulations. Outside, we talked about shifts, Joe. Now we're going the other way.
Well, they're not quite as pronounced for McGwire as they were for Baines in the opposite direction. Fletcher is almost behind second base, but he's not on the left side.
Bounced by Charlie Hough. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Here's the defense. You can see that Fletcher is still on the second base side, or first base side of second base. Everyone else is shifted around on the infield, but again in the outfield, not that pronounced.
Oh, he hit him.
Now, you know what? A knuckleball doesn't hurt you.
I was going to say, Mark had to turn around, ask Joe Brinkman, the home plate umpire, do you really get me?
Yeah.
That's the 5th time Hough has hit somebody this season.
Well, here's Huff's knuckleball. Look at that. He throws it. We call it a knuckleball. He throws it with his fingertips, but it gets him right in the left leg, left side of his leg. Watch him. Mark kind of steps out there and then has no place to go. But that also tells you a little bit of the problems that Mark McGwire is having. He stepped out there so quickly that there was no place for him to go, which means that he is committing himself just a little too soon.
So McGwire's on with 1 away. Now Jamie Quirk. The White Sox leading by a score of 1-0. And he goes the other way with that one on the foul ball. Strike 1. Oakland A's on the road trip they're on right now, Joe. 3 wins and 2 losses. And as we said, this is a 4-game stand. They're going to play again tomorrow. See the fog rolling in by the light standards there? That's what that'd be.
As long as it doesn't bring any rain with it.
Please. No rain in the forecast. I think that's just the good lake giving us a little frozen humidity. The 0-1 foul off.
One of the other things you do when you're sitting on the bench and you're playing against a knuckleball pitcher is you watch how he takes his hands up with his glove when he grabs the baseball. A lot of times they will give away to you, the hitter, whether they're going to throw a knuckleball or another pitch by changing the grip. A lot of guys could read Phil Necro. I couldn't. I had trouble just trying to pick up the baseball, but a lot of guys could tell when he was going to throw a fastball or a slider and you sit on that and you're ready for that. They watch right there to tell if there's any movement in his glove to a different grip.
Why don't we see young pitchers trying to learn how to throw a knuckleball? Because there aren't knucklers around anymore.
Well, and it's very tough to, it's a pitch that's very tough to control, Gary. I mean, it's, as I said, it's hard to throw the pitch and know where it's going all the time. You throw it and it dances outside. You throw it, it dances inside. If you cannot throw strikes with it, it's not going to be effective.
That's the reason. Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strike delivery with a runner at first that he misses down low. Throwing it between 53 and 67 miles an hour. Joe said he'll change up on it. And, hey, the name of the game in pitching is keep the hitters off balance.
Gary, in the past, and even with Charlie Hough, pitchers learn the knuckleball to save their careers. Not so much, that's a last resort kind of thing. Not so much something that they train to do, you know, from the time they're little kids.
McGuire at first with 1 out. 2-2 count on Quirk, who's batting at .308. And he just tries to punch that ball to left field. He did, but foul territory. Talking about the road trip for the Oakland A's, 3 wins, 2 losses. You see for the Oakland A's, their road games this season. 5.2 allowed, 262 batting average. Look at the ERA. Then you go back home again where they are 17 and 6. 5.2 runs per game. ERA at 4.16. Tony La Russa has a ballpark that he calls home, which is the toughest in the league to score in Oakland. 2-2. And the count goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The A's last season with their 103 wins picked up 52 on the road and 51 at home. You just can't do much better than that. One out. McGuire being held by Danny Pasqua at first base. Take a look at the bill of the cap. Charlie Hough, I'm sure some of you have noticed. Looks like he's been standing on it.
Well, that's rosin. See, he grabs the rosin bag and then he grabs his hat periodically.
He wants the hands as dry as possible so they will not slip while he's throwing that knuckle. And that habit right there of touching the cap.
And dirt.
And dirt. A couple of the White Sox players can do great imitations of Charlie Hough. Oh, he bends over to touch the rosin bag. There it is. Looks like a rabbit hiding in the mound. 3-2 count. And there he goes, and that's to right. McGuire heading back. Sosa makes the catch. Will make the throw to Pasqua, but McGuire was watching the baseball. Quirk retired on the fly ball out, and there are 2 down.
Quirk hit the ball hard, but one thing you have to do when you get a knuckleball pitcher in a position where he throws you a fastball, you have to do something with it. Quirk hit it hard, but right at Sosa in right field. And Sosa comes up and fires to first base, but McGuire was back easily.
Fans applauded the throwing arm of Sammy Sosa, who whipped it back in. 2 down, the runner at first. McGuire for Mike Gallego. Fly ball up came in the 3rd, batting at .250. Had a career best 10-game hitting streak stop. But he rattles that one foul. He nevertheless is batting .351 in the last 11 games.
I saw him before the game around the batting cage. I said, show me where you hit that grand slam the other day. And he pointed to that Tribune sign up there. And Walt Weiss walked up and said, yeah, about 200 feet below that.
Mike Gallego, obviously not a home run hitter.
There's the Tribune sign. About 200 feet below that is where it went, right into the first row.
He was credited with 376 feet on that home run. He went over the 375-foot sign.
There's the number of pitches up until now. See, he was getting people out on a very small amount of pitches. That's what I was telling you about. Stay close as you go into the late innings. You figure a knuckleball pitcher will start to miss with his knuckleball, and then he'll have to give you a pitch to hit. Now, whether you hit it or not will determine whether you're able to make up any ground. But you have to stay close to knuckleball pitchers and keep the pressure on them.
White Sox are leading 1-0. The knuckleball dropped Watsumatsu picks it up, and no movement made by McGuire as the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Alito Perez has been taken out of the starting rotation by the Chicago White Sox. Huff remains in it. McDowell getting game starts along with Alex Fernandez. Greg Hibbert, who is the left-hander. Now they have added Ramon Garcia. He made his first outing the other night, and it was a good one. Alito Perez is not happy about having moved to the bullpen. He was complaining about it publicly yesterday and again today. He made his first relief appearance ever in the major leagues a couple of nights ago. So Mark McGuire, the runner at first. And we'll see where that one goes as far as Perez and the Sox are concerned. Thought about it, stayed away. Brinkman says it was outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. "21 times he has thrown the ball to first base." 2-2 delivery. He went around and he's gone. Hough gets the strikeout on Gallego. That'll be his second strikeout of the game, both coming in this inning. And he protects the 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom half of the 5th.
If you know Carney, he's going to set the record for rehabilitating. He's just dogged in how he goes at it. And right now, we fully expect that he's going to be back sometime in the second half. And it's got a good chance to be early in the second half. And it'll be a tribute to how hard he works and how bad he wants to come back.
Carney Lansford is working out today. There he is in the dugout of the Oakland A's. He came out this afternoon to get his daily workout in. Talking about a great hitter and powerful third baseman. And yet the A's remain on top with him gone. If they can get Carney Lansford back after the All-Star break, obviously will have a tremendous impact on the team, and the fact of his working the way he is for this club has an impact just being here. Snowmobile accident in the off-season. Put him on the shelf. 1-1 count. Bottom half of the 5th inning. Chicago leading at 1-0 on an Ozzie Guillen sacrifice fly in the 4th. Wakamatsu, who drew the other walk. Ventura picked up the second and scored that run. Wakamatsu around on that breaking ball, not close, a ball and 2 strikes. Wakamatsu knows that once Ron Karkovice is ready to come back, he will be going to AAA baseball again.
Yeah, but he will have had a good taste of the big leagues, and that gives him a good incentive to get back.
Well, he's done a nice job with it while he's been here as well. 1-2 delivery by Moore, and that's going to be a base hit. Wakamatsu is on again. He's not going to leave without a positive memory behind. Leadoff batter on against Moore here in the 5th inning. 5th hit for the Sox.
Well, the low slider, he stayed down and hit a bullet through the infield. Wise doesn't have much time to react here. The ball's hit so sharply. And Wise had to just make a dive at it. No chance. Here's Wise. Not much movement there. The ball's just hit too hard. Gets through the infield too quickly.
Wakamatsu is 4 for 9 for his major league career as he scurries back for the bag. 5 hits, 1 double, 4 singles thus far off Moore. And Warren Newsom called out on strikes in both of his at-bats. And that one's going to be buried in the dirt and end up on the screen. Down to second base on the second wild pitch of the game. Moore getting that one up on the screen and off on the roll.
We have seen this a few times tonight. The ball hits in the dirt outside. That one was not as wild as the other ones. That one may have even should have been caught, blocked anyway, by Quirk. He moved a little late on that one.
That takes away Possible double play now puts a runner in scoring position with nobody out. They're playing for the bunt. He squares. Did not go after it. And the count is 2 balls and no strikes.
This is not an easy bunt for a left-hander to bunt the ball down the third baseline, because you have to bunt it hard enough for the third baseman to field it. The guy at second base, Wakamatsu, should make up his mind that he doesn't have to go just because the ball is bunted. He has to make sure it's bunted hard enough for the third baseman to field it, and then he can go over to third easily.
2-0 count. He squares again, and it's 3 balls and no strikes. So Noosa, who's had only 6 Major League at-bats, is ahead on the count here. 3 balls, 7 Major League at-bats. Hasn't had a hit. Being asked to bunt here by Torborg. Sammy Ellis, the pitching coach, sitting, blowing the bubble. Warren Newson does have an RBI, however. Got one the other night on a ground ball. Taking this time, and he's on. Third walk given up by Moore. Puts runners on at first and second base. Is on his way out to have a word with his pitcher, with Lance Johnson coming up.
And he gets a little greeting from the crowd here for last night's little escapade of throwing the bat up on the screen. Well, we talked about the Oakland A's, and most teams really kind of assume the personality of their manager. And Tony La Russa is a very aggressive manager. His personality is aggressive, which makes his ball club an aggressive ball club.
Remember, he managed here in Chicago from 79 through 86, so very familiar to White Sox fans who loved him while he was here.
Yeah.
And boo him when he comes back, as most winners get booed. So they've set it up. They're looking for the bunt again from Lance Johnson. The corners are already moved in on the grass. The White Sox leading 1-0. Nobody out. Runners at first and second base. Lance Johnson singled his last time up, batting at 246. McGuire at first, ready to charge. They step off to try and get an indication. Johnson doesn't give them one. Not move the hands up the bat. Not much with runners in scoring position. Lead runner at second. Wakamatsu getting the lead. Weiss moving in behind him. They were right. He's bunting. Fouled it off. Roger Brassard, the groundskeeper, and a great one. He's done an excellent job on this beautiful ballpark. He carried the dirt over from the old Comiskey, because they just put it in over there and put it in here. And this grass he has textured beautifully, a mixture his own. His dad, a groundskeeper as well, here with the White Sox. Now Roger's taken over. I make the point because this grass will tend to slow the ball down, especially in the outfield, but in the infield as well. So when you get a bunt down here, it does not roll a long way if you get it out on the grass. 0-1 the count. Looking for the bunt again. They charge. It's outside. 1-1.
I guess you answered my question about why they didn't call this the new Comiskey Park. Well, they brought the dirt and etc. from the old park, so it's still part of the old park.
Wouldn't you like to have a lawn that looked like that, huh? Boy, that's a beautiful mixture. Kentucky grass, and it's laid over a great draining system here. They can take a ton of rain and it disappears. Johnson waiting back to second base. Wakamatsu was in Roger's office the other day. Roger has the uniform he wore in 1960 when he played in the White Sox father and son game when his dad was the groundskeeper here. Here's the 1-1. And Moore gets the strike. 1-2. There's Johnson talking to himself, checking with Terry Bevington for the signs at third.
I think a little of that is pointed toward Brinkman.
I think a lot of that's pointed towards Brinkman.
Yeah, the umpire, he did not agree with that pitch. He thought it was high.
Just don't turn around and look at him. You're all right, right? There you see the count. Still in at first and third on the edge of the grass with a 1-2 count. And he squares again. Lets it go. 2-2. Some confidence in him as a bunter. There's Terry Bevington, the third base coach. Only one sacrifice this season. 4 Lance Johnson. He has 8 from last year. Terry, who almost was the head coach of Toronto. One of the last considered. Williams was let go before Cito Gaston was named. 2-2. Not this time, and he is gone. The 6th strikeout victim of the game for Moore, and a big one. 1 away.
Mike Moore makes a good pitch to Lance Johnson. This is a breaking ball down and in. And Johnson's out in front. He keeps his head right there, but in this case, it doesn't do any good. Not much. Well, his head does go forward.
Frank Thomas, they've relied on him all season to come up with a big hit. Batting .306, 2 on, 1 away, and that's a strike on the outside corner.
Well, Thomas has not agreed with Brinkman on the last 2 pitches that he has seen.
He likes the new Comiskey. He'll get some gappers for extra base hits as well as the home runs. Leads the club with 37 RBIs, tied for the lead in homers with 8 with Sosa. Moore comes inside on him. Evens the count at a ball and a strike. Gary Thorne with Joe Morgan. Great to have you with us on this Sunday night. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Comiskey Park in Chicago. And it's a good one. Moore and Charlie Hough locked up in a battle. Ozzie Guillen, RBI sacrifice fly, 4th inning, the only run. Hough has held the Oakland A's to a couple of base runners, none in scoring position. 2 on here, 1 out. Thomas takes it away, 2-1. Wakamatsu, the lead runner at second base. Newson at first.
You asked me a question earlier in the ball game, Gary, about pitching inside. We saw an example of that the pitch before. Mike Moore came inside to keep Thomas honest because he's been zeroing in on the outside corner. But he came in about letter high on the inside corner, not head high. And that is what LaRusso was talking about. Pitching a guy inside and keeping him honest without going up around his head.
2-1 the count on Thomas. Big cut in the rising heat. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Mike Moore just threw that fastball right by Thomas. Thomas had to swing hard to try to speed up his bat, but he couldn't do that. The ball just went right by him. Watch, he'll be late on this. The ball will be right by him, right there. See, it's already by him when he goes after it. And what happens a lot of times, the guy looks like he was right on it because he swung harder. It was after the ball had gone past him. 86-mile-an-hour fastball. It's not real fast, but got the job done.
2-2 delivery to Thomas. Broken back, base hit into left field. Wakamatsu the turn. Ricky Henderson's up for the ball. Another play at the plate to Jamie Quirk. Dead meat. He is gone. Well, no bounce on that throw from Ricky.
Ricky made up his mind from the last time. He said the bounce took an assist away from me last time. This one I will get all the way in the air. Nice play by Ricky Henderson. That's why he wins Gold Gloves. Watch, he charges the ball real quickly, and he gets rid of it. It's a fastball on the inside part of the plate. You see him shorten his arms to get to it. Now Ricky Henderson charges it, gets it on the right stride, 1 step, and it's gone. But he throws a fly ball almost to the catcher, but he gets it there in plenty of time, and Wakamatsu is a dead duck.
Terry Bevington, the third base coach, waved him around all the way. They were successful on 1 throw to the plate from Henderson that scored the run, Ventura, in the 4th, but not this time. Now there are 2 down. Thomas ends up at second base. And Danny Pasqua's got 2 in scoring position now. Newson at third. And the breaking ball is in for a strike. Credit Thomas with a single down to second on the throw.
That's why the difference between a real good team and just a good team. The White Sox were not able to bunt the runners over to second and third, so they forced themselves to try to score on a tough play to left field. If Lance Johnson would have been able to bunt the runners over, 1 runner would have scored easily, and then you could stop the guy at third because he would be there with 1 out, and you would still have a big rally going. But because he did not get the runners over, they had to take a chance on trying to score. It's little things like that that separate the good teams from the real good teams.
Fundamentals, Joe, fundamentals. They still matter.
Right.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out. White Sox leading 1-0. Pasqua trying to add to it. Fouls it off. 1-2.
Ricky Henderson comes up with it, and see how quickly he gets rid of the ball. 1 step and it's gone. And the throw is not really that high. It just carries all the way to Quirk. Quirk semi-blocks the plate, but he keeps Wakamatsu from tagging up. Here's the throw all the way in the air. Straight up. Now he prepares himself for the jolt. You see Thomas in the background trotting down to second base.
1-2 delivery to Danny Pasqua. Pushes him back a little bit. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Warren Newsom at third. Thomas with the single at second. Good clutch hitter. Danny Pasqua hit .280 last season with runners in scoring position. Picked up 10 RBIs thus far this year, batting at .227 overall. Big situation right here. Moore's 2-2. Towards Moore. He's got it. He'll help himself out. Makes the flip to McGuire. And the White Sox will leave a couple on here. Mike Moore giving them chances, but they only have the 1-0 lead. Play at the plate made a real difference. Ricky Henderson, who gets a lot of putouts in the outfield, in fact led the league last season in putouts, gets the assist on this one. That is the 4th assist by Henderson. He leads the A's outfielders in that department. Walt Weiss, as they try and find the formula against Charlie Hough. Weiss batting 9th, hitting at .238. Takes the strike. 1-1. Huff picking the pace up a little bit right here. Floats it in. That one misses outside, and not fortuitous that that's happening. That's another way that he will try and keep the hitters off stride. The time he takes to get the ball back will change during a game. Fletcher to Pasqua. Boomer's waiting for us back home there. Boomer, what's going on?
Thorne, well, in Texas they're playing, and while they're having trouble solving X-Ranger Charlie Huff in your game, Nolan Ryan gives up the shot to Alvin Davis. Tracy Jones scores the run for the Mariners. Late 1 in the first, starting to drizzle in the top of the second. 1-0 M. Back to Chicago.
Thank you, Chris. The Rangers right now, Bobby Valentine, after those great wins, 14 in a row, they ended up with the pitching staff getting injured all of a sudden. Champerino is out of there for a while. Bobby Witt. Nolan still somewhat of a question. Says he feels all right. Had some problems last couple of starts. Ricky Henderson batting at .248. 1 down, nobody on. 5 hits, 19 at bats on the current road trip. That one away by Huff. In there for the strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ricky somewhat questioning that one.
The question in Ricky's mind is whether the ball came down quick enough.
1-2 delivery. Out in front of that one, as they often will be. Ball girl gets an error, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. And they'll have to chase that one down. Fog still hanging, not affecting the game at all, blowing in and out here off the lake, which is outside the left field wall direction. We're still not sure exactly how this ballpark will be for hitters and pitchers as the summer heat moves in, but it has been a home run ballpark early on. The ball really carries here at night. Behind him, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Knuckleballers, as I said, cannot always control it. This one's a 52-mile-an-hour fingertip knuckleball, and it's behind Ricky Henderson. In retrospect, Ricky probably wishes it would have glanced off of him. He didn't really make a big attempt to get out of the way.
Just didn't move in enough to get a piece of him, though.
You can probably catch it with your bare hand and flip it back, and it won't bother you.
You understand that Texas game is in another rain delay now. Seattle leading 1-0. Ricky fouls it off. You can see how much trouble he's having trying to time this thing up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I suspect when he pats himself on the leg like that, what he's doing, talking to himself, be patient, be patient, be patient. Huff again with a 2-2. That one did hit him.
Yeah.
So that's the second hit batter by Charlie Huff, and Ricky Henderson is on for the second time. Once a walk, once hit by a pitch. And our storyline at Comiskey Park tonight with the White Sox leading it has been Huff's pitching. You see he's not given up the hit yet. You see the knuckleballs thrown as part of the total pitches. Moore is getting the job done. Just the 1 run on a sacrifice fly by Ozzie Guillen in the 4th inning for the RBI. A pitcher's game.
So far. But as I mentioned, you stay close to a knuckleball pitcher and you will get some shots at him. Now, if you take advantage of him, you're going to beat him. But most of the time, he will give you some shots at him in the late innings.
Well, if Ricky's going to run, he'd do it here, wouldn't he?
Well, we thought he would in the 1st inning, and they bunted him over, but we'll see. Put it this way, Lou Brock would.
Okay. 1 down. Vance Law, sacrifice and reached on an error. And Huff making sure Henderson stays as close as he can get him there. Fog is coming a little lower now. It's not dense or enough to affect fly balls being seen or anything yet. It's coming in here. It's a little cool too. Manny Pasqua holding the bag. A little Twilight Zone music here. Henderson stepping off the lead. The high set and the throw over. Charlie Huff's about ready to equal his pitches with throws to first base. 85 pitches, 26 throws to first. Well, I exaggerate.
Yeah, but Ricky hasn't run yet.
That's right, he hasn't. And not a very big lead over there.
No.
And he's not going. And the pitch misses outside. Ball 1. Wakamatsu, the young catcher, has only had 2 chances to try and throw somebody out. Lashman at third going through the signs.
Well, that's kind of interesting. You would think that a guy of Ricky Henderson's stature as a base stealer would not take a sign. He'd be on his own, whether to steal or not. A lot of managers will give you the do not steal sign.
Vance Law waiting, and we'll have to wait some more. That one almost got away from Danny Pasqua. It ran into the leg of the base runner.
Tony giving the signs to Rene Latchman at third. Most of them are decoys.
1-0 count. Ricky not going again. And the pitch misses down low again. 2 balls and no strikes. Latchman almost standing on the field trying to get the signs at third from the dugout. As though he couldn't see Tony La Russa. He walked way over by the chalk line. That's why Law is waiting, because Latchman hasn't given any signs yet.
He's probably saying this is pretty obvious. It's 2-0. You hit, and Ricky, if you want to run, you go.
Yeah. I'm really surprised he hasn't taken off. It's a 1-0 ball game with the Sox leading. Law ahead on the count 2-0. And he did lean towards second base that time.
Well, it's a perfect pitch to steal on because you know they're not going to pitch out 2-0. And all you have to worry about then is just beating the throw. You don't have to worry about a pitch out.
There he was going. I mean, he had the ball up in the air that time. He did a little jump step in order to get back to first base.
Hello. Yeah, New dance step. I've never seen that one before. Because I don't know why he would have his back foot in the air like that.
Because Charlie doesn't throw over to first very fast either.
No.
Henderson checking the groundwork. 2-0 count. Last season against Tuff, base stealers 85% effective, 33 for 39, getting it done. There he goes, and it's a base hit up the middle. Ricky's on his way to third. Lance Johnson up with the ball, and Law has come through with the first hit of Charlie Hough. Right straight up the middle. And runners at first and third for the A's with one away.
You get a guy 2-0, a knuckleball pitcher, he has to come with the fastball here. There it is, the fastball, and Law lines it right back up to the middle with Ricky on the move. And Ricky's taking off for second, and there's no chance of anything happening other than him going to third.
Well, sevens are wild thus far. Charlie Hough has thrown 7 strikes, 7 balls, and 7 times to first base. So the A's are on the board with their first hit. Runners at first and third. Sox leading 1-0, but that is in danger. Jose Canseco, the 0 for 2. Now Hough will try for that ground ball in the double play. Bounce to Wakamatsu, making the stop. Canseco again coming up with the opportunity to pick up an RBI. He was up in the first inning when he hit that line drive to short, and then in the 4th inning, after the base runner was on, ended up flying out. Batting at .225, 4 hits in his last 22 at bats. Into the fog, Pasqua over, out of the fog, and into the glove. Big out, 2 down.
Canseco has had some good swings, but with his swing being a little longer, by the time he gets to the ball, it moves away just a little bit more. This is a pretty good swing. Watch, he keeps his shoulder in. He stays right there. He does not pull off. He just missed it. And that happens.
Boy, he's really talking to himself.
Well, he can't believe that he missed that pitch because it was there and he didn't pull off. He didn't do anything wrong. He just popped it up.
So it's Harold Baines. Chance to do damage against his former team. Runners at first and third and 2 down. And here's a shift like you'll never see again.
I could understand them shifting the way they did with no one on base. But now, with a runner at third and a man at first, and they give him the whole middle of the diamond almost on the left side, that's tough not to take advantage of.
Wow. Aiming that way towards short. Boy, Charlie Hough gave him a pitch. If he could have hit it, that's where it would have gone. Look at this.
Well, before they had the third baseman over near second base. Now the whole left side of the infield is open because Ventura had to stay there to hold Ricky Henderson.
2 down. Baines way outside with that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. They don't want Ricky Henderson stealing home. That's why Robin Ventura's got to stay over there at third base. Ricky can steal home. He has not done it this season. But when you're throwing a ball 50 miles an hour to the plate, which is a new low for Charlie Hough on that last pitch, Henderson could do it. 1-1. Baines to right field. Sosa started in, gets there and makes the catch. He fought it, but he got it. 2 left on. Sox up 1-0. In the past of the White Sox and the Athletics lie 2 of baseball's most charismatic owners, Bill Veeck and Charlie O. Finley. Veeck was known for sending a midget up to bat. Finley had a mule mascot, and it traveled with the team. Veeck put his team in shorts. Finley dressed his in colors previously unseen in the majors. Veeck once let the fans vote on pitching changes. In Oakland, Finley had the only vote. Vett continually looked to entertain the fans and the players, while the swinging A's fought their way to 3 straight championships. Comiskey Park, shades of Bill Veeck right there in the new scoreboard, which is like the old one. And yes, it has the fireworks. If the White Sox hit a home run, we'll see it go off. Right now, it's the pitchers who are controlling this game. As you see the line, Ian sacrifice fly. The A's with a chance in the 6th inning, getting a runner in scoring position for the first time and their first hit, but not getting it done. They have left 4 on now. White Sox have left 6. And Ventura takes the breaking ball by Moore down and away. 41,358 on hand here tonight. The White Sox have already sold enough tickets to break their all-time mark in attendance. It's already been done. They are averaging here at home now 34,000 plus in this new ballpark, and they are going to draw 2.3 million before the season's done. A lot will depend, of course, on how they play, where they are in the standings. That one towards right center field. Henderson is there. Hindu hauls it in. Ventura's retired, 1 away in the bottom of the 6th inning. Outside the fence here, one of our cameramen doing some work in the outfield where the bullpen is and the picnic area is out there, and you get a look the other way coming back in through the chain link. That's what the bullpen players see as they watch from out there, when they watch. That one taken down low. Sammy Sosa has had the big night, raising his average to 240. Moore has walked 3, struck out 6. One of the walks, Ventura, in the 4th inning, resulted in the run that scored. Sosa, who strikes out a lot, 50 strikeouts this season for Sammy Sosa. He has drawn 8 walks. Tells you something about the 3-swinger he is. 150 strikeouts last year for Sosa. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fans can actually picnic while they watch the game. That's from the old Comiskey that had a picnic area. They kept it here. Those doors will come up. They're garage door type windows. A towering pop-up.
Hey, that's a big league pop-up.
There's that fog. Vance Law holds sight, 2 down.
We're going to show you the difference. This is Robin Ventura, 1986, when he had 87, when he had the 58-game hitting streak. That's a beautiful long stroke. Nice balance. Nice balance on that stroke. This is his stroke now. Watch, he moves too much. He goes forward. Look at it. His body goes forward there, and he's late on it. He gets jammed. That's just one pitch, but there is the difference between his stroke now and then.
2 down, bases empty. Ozzie Guillen, the RBI in the 4th inning on the sac fly, batting at .278. Joe, would you have used the video machines available when you were hitting to go in after every at-bat? Did you?
Yes, I did. No, I didn't after every at-bat. I viewed each game daily with Ted Klazewski, who was the hitting instructor in Cincinnati. We taped the game. I'd come in every day before the game and watch the previous day's game. I didn't want to do too much during, the game. Like, I wasn't going to go in and check every at-bat simply because the pitcher may change his pattern. I adjusted to the pitcher. I hit what I could see during the game. Now, the next day, I would come in and watch, see what I did with the curveball, see what I did with the changeup, see what I did with the fastball. And I just made those adjustments daily. I didn't try to make adjustments, as a lot of people say, between innings or between pitches.
Which we're seeing more of today because they...
But you can also be confused.
Yeah, that's what I wondered about. I mean, when you're going in, every time you've had an at-bat, you can really mess yourself up.
Well, this time I had my hands too low. Last time my foot moved. This time my head moved. Now I got to go up there and think about keeping my foot from moving, my head from moving, and my foot. So see, the simplest explanation about hitting I've ever heard was from one of the greatest hitters of all time, Pete Rose. Pete Rose said, see the ball, hit the ball. I mean, it's still that simple.
Ozzie fighting it off, fouls another one off. A ball, 2 strikes, 2 down, a 1-0 lead for the Sox. Who's the best hitter in baseball today?
Gary.
Joe.
You get me on the spot right there real quickly. I'll tell you in an inning. I'll have to think about it because there are a lot of good hitters.
Okay.
You know, there's Tony Gwynn. There's right now Wally Joyner's going great. Wade Boggs, of course.
1-2, grounded to first. Mark McGwire. And that will do it. Moore retires the side in order. While you watch this, Joe will think of who's the best.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Bud Dry. Dry brewed so it drinks light, yet satisfies completely. By Minolta Freedom Cameras. When you can't get to the picture, Minolta Freedom Zoom 90 brings the picture to you. And by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline.
Buckingham Fountain, Grant Park, along Lakeshore Drive here in Chicago. Great city. Dave Henderson leading it off. White Sox up 1-0. There's the line over 6. 1 single. Vance Law got it in the last inning. Hindu batting .330 goes through that Charlie Hough pitch. He's walked 2, struck out 2. Henderson, McGwire, and Jamie Quirk due up here. Henderson batting .238 against the White Sox this season thus far, and Hough got a little movement on that after he leaned him back on it. A ball and 2 strikes. Joe is computing, determining that best hitter in baseball, even as we speak. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Hey, I got to use. Hey, they're using computers for everything else.
That's right.
Compute this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Charlie Hough. The one thing about the knuckleball, he may throw a lot of pitches, but when you're throwing the knuckleball, you can throw a lot of pitches. And he comes inside to Henderson this time, and the count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Charlie Hough right up there among the all-time leaders, throwing 120 or more pitches a game. But as we say, that's the way it goes. You didn't want to do that. 3rd walk. Well, leadoff man is on again. It'll bring up Mark McGwire. Average not too great. Batting instructor Rick Burleson on the big guy.
He's so strong that if we can get him to make solid contact and use all of the ballpark, he's going to be successful. But he feels that he has a fear of that he's lost some of his power, and consequently he tries to pull to make up for it, and his swing gets long, and he's not going to be successful if he continues to do that.
Well, I think that was a very honest observation there about Mark McGwire. McGwire has an uppercut. He's trying to get the ball in the air, and he's trying to pull everything. And when he hit 50 home runs, hit a lot of home runs to right center field, hit a lot of balls to right field when he hit 280. But he has gradually gotten away from that style of hitting and become more and more of a pull hitter and a fly ball hitter. Hits so many balls in the air that it's very tough to get your average up real high.
I remember talking to McGwire last season about that, saying he believes himself, as you look at Dave Henderson on it first, that he should be a 265, 270 hitter. That's what he would like to be.
As strong as he is, I would say 270 and above, and he's very capable.
Batting .218 as he stands in right now. Hit by a pitch his last time up. 0 for 1 officially tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. White Sox have the 1-0 lead. We are in the top half of the 7th inning. McGwire finished last season at .235, but 39 home runs and 108 RBIs.
He was only the 2nd guy to ever drive in 100 runs and hit under 240.
Great clutch hitter. Last season, with a batting average of .235 overall, with runners in scoring position, he put the average up to about 10 points higher. And career, he's .292 with runners in scoring position. A 1-1 to him. Foul back. And Huff's ahead on the count. A ball and 2 strikes.
Here you see how his fly ball production has increased. He hit .289 his rookie year. And now his fly balls have continued to climb, and he's up to 57% of the balls he hits are in the air. If they don't go out of the ballpark and they come down, you're going to be out.
One column up and the other one down.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark really struggling right now. He's only had 3 hits in his last 37 at bat. That's an 0.81 batting average.
But
Wakamatsu stops it.
But only Babe Ruth hit home runs with more frequency at bat, as far as at bats is concerned. Mark McGwire's hit a home run every 13.9. Babe Ruth, one every 11.8. See, the Babe could deal.
Thank you. You Hall of Famers stick together, don't you?
No, he could hit. As I said when I went to the Hall of Fame, there are a lot of guys I don't equate my name with. You know, he's special. Those guys, he, Mays, and all those guys, those are special deals. I don't equate with those guys.
All right. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And again, Hough goes full on the count. 3 balls, 2 strikes to McGwire. Charlie Hough has gone the distance thus far in the fog. Ken Patterson and Melito Perez. Perez the right-hander, Patterson the lefty.
Newly caged Melito Perez. Huh?
Well put. That's about how he feels about being in the bullpen. Newly caged. 3-2 count. White Sox leading 1-0. But it has been a struggle. Henderson goes. Got him. Chance for the double play. They got him.
Great play by Fletcher at second base. That's a great play. McGwire's called out on this pitch, and he's arguing with the umpire. Now watch Fletcher at second base. He stands there like it's not a play coming at second base. Strike 3 call. Firing the second base is Wakamatsu, and Fletcher just stood there, all of a sudden reached down, grabbed it, and put the tag on Dave Henderson. Great decoy.
That was.
Smart second baseman, I'm telling you.
That's the longest decoy I've ever seen. I didn't think he was going to catch the ball.
He stood there a long time.
Strike him out, throw him out, double play, Scotty Fletcher.
Now watch Fletcher. He's just standing there like nothing's happening. Now he just reaches down, catches the ball, and puts the tag on Dave Henderson. Nice play.
And Wakamatsu gets his first major league assist, throwing out a base runner. And there are 2 down. And Hough gets a break, and Quirk flies to left. Newsom hauls it in. So the leadoff man was on again, but it didn't matter. 7th inning stretch time from Chicago. Chicago much aflutter. That's on a big building downtown that has that signed roof. The Lakers won today in Chicago, 93-91. SportsCenter will have the highlights as the NBA Championship Series got underway today. Sam Perkins was hot. The big guy had a chance at the end, though. Michael, but not to be.
You know, Magic and Michael were baseball players. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Stick around. Teach you some of these things that I've learned.
I've stuck around you and learned, and that's what I'm worried about. Scott Fletcher leading it off. Wakamatsu schedule up, and then Newsom at the top of the order. No, we haven't forgotten. The best hitter.
Okay, but I can't say the best hitter.
All right, I said to you between innings, I should also ask you, when I say that,
right,
what does that mean to you?
And I'll give you my clarification.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to give you the best just hitter, pure hitter, just line drive hitter. I'm going to say Tony Gwynn in the National League. I'm going to have to separate the leagues. But you have to put power in there to go along with that hitting. And then I'm going to go with Will Clark because he can produce numbers, batting average wise, and home runs. So I'm going to say that off of what they've done, you know, in the past. And if I go to the American League, I've got to go with Wade Boggs because of what he's done in the past and what he's done consistently throughout his career. Now, I'm still having a problem to match a Will Clark in the American League other than Ruben Sierra, who is a guy that hits well from both sides. But I'm giving a little bit of the nod to the National League if I put those 2 up against the other 2.
Okay.
But great hitters. There are a lot of good hitters in both leagues, but those guys kind of stand out for me.
You heard it from the Hall of Famers' own mouth.
Gonna get me in trouble now, but okay.
That's all right. That is strikeout number 7 for Mike Moore. Scott Fletcher, first time he's been taken. He's 0 for 3 now. 1 away in the bottom of the 7th inning. He is a good contact hitter. Doesn't like striking out. One away. Wakamatsu got thrown out at the plate after he led the 5th inning off with a single. Ricky Henderson got him there. Sacrifice fly by Guillen in the 4th is the only run up on the board. Moore walking 3. The walk to Ventura resulting in the run in that 4th inning.
One thing about Mike Moore, he's still throwing well. He doesn't seem to have lost any velocity on his fastball, and he's had the good breaking ball the entire ball game. So you're right, they both pitched very fine ball games.
These are the kind of games Mike Moore was used to last season when he didn't get the kind of run support he's getting this year. 0-1, Wakamatsu to right field. Canseco was playing in. He's got a long way to haul it in, but he does. 2 down. They don't have a book on Wakamatsu. He hasn't had enough at bats, so they've crossed him up a little on that one.
Canseco goes back and then across, and he has to make one last adjustment there. Good thing he has a real big glove here. I saw a lot of white on it right there. Big glove. Let me make one other statement. There are 2 guys in both leagues that really get my attention as hitters that I just love to watch hit. One is Kevin Mitchell with the Giants, and the other is Jose Canseco. They get your attention when they go to the plate.
They do, don't they? McGuire. Newson's retired, and Moore's having himself a very quick inning. Fogg rolling in. Moore shutting him down. He's retired the last 7 White Sox that he has faced. Well, how do you spell relief in the American League? Dennis Eckersley right now with 38 points on top, followed by Harvey, who in fact had been perfect till the other night. In the National League, Dibble, you see, has picked up the 13 saves, no blown saves. Lee Smith getting the job done with a 2-2-12 save and 2 blown save opportunities with the 32 points. Those are our Rolaids relief leaders here at Comiskey Park. Excellent ball game with the White Sox leading by a score of 1-0. Charlie Hough with a 1-2 record. Working into the 8th inning now. 43-year-old put up a solid line.
1 hit. The biggest statistic there is only 3 bases on balls.
Mike Gallego will take a look. Gallego down swinging his last time up. Gallego, Weiss, and Ricky Henderson up. Ricky Henderson has gotten on base twice in this game, but it hasn't converted into anything. They've only had a runner in scoring position once. Center field. Lance Johnson. 1 down. Leadoff man has been on 4 times in this game. Pretty high number. Still no runs scored. From high atop Comiskey Park. Beautiful field of green. Walt Weiss, the 0 for 2. .236 batting average on the season now for Weiss. He's done well on the road. He's batting .314 this year in road games. Only .186 at home coming into tonight's game. 0-1 to him. Slower than slow. 0-2. Seattle, Texas is the only other major league game not complete being played tonight. They've got a rain delay again. They're in the top half of the 2nd inning. Boy, have they struggled. And now they've decided to postpone it. They aren't struggling anymore. Here's the 0-2. This is down low. So Seattle had a 1-0 lead 2nd inning, but they're not going to get it in Texas. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Weiss.
Well, Charlie Hough started off the ball game with a very minimum amount of pitches. Now he's up to 112 here in the 8th inning.
Made his big league debut in 1970. Charlie Hough did. Pasqua, no play there. And that's an infield single for Walt Weiss. And that was trouble as soon as it was off the bat. Couldn't have bunted that ball into a better position.
Not hard enough for Pasqua at first base, and not slow enough for Huff to get over and get it. So kind of perfect in between the two. Pasqua sees that Huff can't do it. And now he goes after it and cannot make the tag. Just as Charlie started to reach for it, Pasqua called him off, and no chance for him to toss to Fletcher.
Well, we are down to crunch time. Top of the 8th inning, White Sox leading 1-0. Leadoff man flying out. Weiss on with a single, and now Rickey Henderson. Ricky's batting .248. He's been on twice, though, with a walk and then hit by a pitch. 3rd inning, he grounded out.
Well, the A's had a good shot at Huff in the 6th inning. They couldn't convert. In the 7th, they couldn't convert, and now they have a runner here in the 8th inning. As I said, around the 4th inning, you will get some shots at a knuckleball pitcher because they will have some innings where they struggle to get the knuckleball over.
Walt
you have
Weiss,
to be willing to take advantage of it that time.
Yeah, you're right. And here's the time. He's 5 for 5 in stealing bases. Pretty decent lead at first. Huff aware of that. Will hold him close.
With a guy who throws quickly to first base, and Huff throws from this set position up high, you should get a big lead and then just automatically dive back. Don't try to scramble back. Just get a big lead and dive back, because the big lead will help you when you take off.
Didn't go that time. Takes the strike. 0-1 on Henderson. Checking for the signs here. This is where the Oakland A's over the past 3-4 seasons have been at their best in these kinds of situations. Outside, Anderson leaning over the plate, taking a look. 1 ball, 1 strike.
When you get in the late innings with a knuckleball pitcher, it becomes a cat and mouse game. He knows he's having trouble getting his knuckleball over. You as a hitter knows. That's why he started Rickey off with a fastball. He had not done that all evening. So he sneaks 1 fastball in on you. You as a hitter have to stand there and say, well, he tried to do it again. Because if he throws a fastball, you have to be ready to hit it.
1-1 delivery. Yep. And Henderson has to take the strike. 1-2.
Another fastball, see? Well, Charlie Huff's fastball, we should say. Not a real fast one, but faster than his knuckleball.
64 miles an hour.
And you can see Rickey was upset because he took that pitch.
Joe, that just points out what we were talking about. Keep hitters off stride. Doesn't matter what the speed is.
Exactly.
If the differential's enough to keep them off stride, it works.
And he's definitely doing that so far tonight.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Weiss. I don't think there's any record for throws to first base, but Charlie Huff would be there. He's had 35 tosses to first base.
He should also have a crook in his neck because he shakes his neck every time he throws to first base. The first thing he does is he watch. I mean, a base runner should be able to see that. Watch him. He gives you the head fake toward home plate. He's done that 36 times tonight. He will have a crook in his neck tomorrow.
1-2. Runner not going. Rickey stepped up on it. Fouls it off. Count holds at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And that's 3 fastballs in this time at bat that he has thrown to Rickey Henderson.
The 0 for 1 here tonight. Rickey's 9 for 43 against Charlie Huff lifetime. Converts into a batting average just a little over 200. 1-2, 1 out. White Sox with a 1-0 lead, which they got on a Guillen sacrifice fly in the 4th inning. A's have had only 1 base runner in scoring position. They've had 2 hits. Weiss has singled the 2nd one. And Huff wanted that call, didn't get it. 2-2. So he bounced off the mound after he completed the delivery. He thought he had him. Rickey this season struggled against the White Sox. He's 4 for 21 against the White Sox games they've played. 2-2. He reached.
That was very close to a balk right there by Huff. He did not stop very long on that pitch. He just came down and threw it. Watch this. He does not stop very much on this. Watch. He just kind of keeps going. And that's how you deceive the runner. You can keep the runner from getting a good jump if you stop sometimes, and other times you do not.
White Sox pitchers have not had a balk called against them this season. Kind of unusual for this point of the year. Ooh, he was leaning that time. 2-2 count. Get on first base against Charlie Hough. Figure you may need a new jersey before you go up for the next half inning. Spent a lot of time dirt diving. 2-2, and Ricky's taking the timeout at the plate. He's done that a couple of times just to try and get Charlie Hough, I think, off the pace. It's a real battle right here.
This is probably the key man for him in the ball game, because if he gives up a base hit or he doesn't retire Ricky, he may not be long for this ball game.
Bullpen has been active. They are ready, both the right and left-hander. 2-2. That's twice. Almost the same place as the last pitch, and again Huff bouncing on the mound, again thinking he was close enough to get one of those two for a called third strike, but it's 3-2.
Well, he also can't believe that Ricky would take both of those pitches.
Nine times with a 3-ball count for Charlie Huff. 3-2 here. Weiss with a lead at first base. You're right, Joe. Once that head goes up, head back to the bag.
Well, just being a former base stealer, I always observe pitchers just out of habit, and that was one of the first things I noticed.
You and Murray Wills may have been as good at reading a pitcher as anyone the game's had.
I had to put in a lot of time on it.
Yeah, you do. Keep a chart on pitchers in your mind. 3-2 again, and again the throw over. Did you prefer to steal against left or right-handers?
Left-handers, because everything was right in front of me and I could see everything. They couldn't trick you. Watch his head movements. He gives a nod to the plate and then he throws to first base. That's kind of the way that he does it each and every time.
One down. Infield looking for the ground ball and a chance at 2. 3-2 runner goes, and it's hit to center field. Lance Johnson is over, and Charlie Huff wins another mano-a-mano battle, which he's been doing tonight. He gets Ricky Henderson, and there are 2 down.
There are often great confrontations in a 1-0 ball game or a 10-9 ball game. And so far in this ball game, every time there's been one of those situations, Charlie Huff has won. If he would have walked Ricky Henderson, he's going to get in big trouble. If there were about 4 times when he's come to that situation where one more base hit would have put him in trouble, or one more walk, and he's been able to make the pitch to get out of trouble. And that's what this is all about. That's what pitching is all about. Anybody can pitch if no one gets on base, and all you have to do is throw it up there and they hit it. But when you have to get in a situation where you have to retire a hitter, that's when you find out what a pitcher's made of.
Now there are 2 down, and he will really keep an eye on Walt Weiss now to see if Weiss may try and get himself in scoring position. The second hitter, Vance Law, is at the plate.
He does not want to throw Law another fastball, so he's going to try to make sure he keeps the runner very close at first base, because he's going to throw him knuckleballs.
41.
41, huh? Pitchers will sometimes tell you how they're going to pitch to the hitter if you're a base stealer. They think in their mind, I'm going to throw him a curveball or something off speed, so I have to keep the runner close. So they'll throw over there a couple of times in a row, as he's done here. And that tells you that he's going to throw a knuckleball to the hitter, because he doesn't want to throw him a fastball. There it is.
And he got it in for the strike as Law moved up the bat as though to bunt, but it looked like he was just taking. Chicago with a 1-0 lead, 2 down. Everybody looking for signs here. Weiss standing on the bag looking over. Ball 1 count on Law. Batting .238, one of the 2 singles. He got his in the 6th. Weiss picking up his on the roll at a first here in the 8th inning.
Now he's going to have to go with a fastball. And Law fouls it back.
1-1. Nobody's been able to time him yet. Latchman, the third base coach.
And for all you fans at home, all of that can't mean a lot.
No. The way that started, I suspect it meant nothing.
Yeah.
Looked like he wiped off the whole thing and then went through the signs.
Yeah.
So he'll probably run. Vance Law, lifetime 257 hitter. Watches the breaking ball go away. 2 balls and 1 strike.
And there's Tony La Russa giving the signs to Latchman. And Latchman relays him over to Weiss at first. Not a lot for Vance Law to know about in the batter's box. 2 outs. He's ahead in the count, 2-1. Just get a good pitch and hit it.
Hough bounces that one. Wakamatsu makes the stop, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike.
He does not want to throw Vance Law a fastball, so he comes with another knuckleball. Nice play by Wakamatsu, but you could see he had his entire body in front of the ball, and he was able to cradle it into his glove.
Ruff would like to get the out right here. He has Canseco waiting on deck. He doesn't want to face Canseco, period, but he especially doesn't want to face him with runners on.
But he doesn't want to give in to to Vance Law either. And he's not going to. This will not be a fastball, it'll be a slider.
3 ball, 1 strike count for the umpteenth time. Walt Weiss dives back into first base.
The other thing he knows is that he has not really fooled Canseco. Canseco has just missed a lot of pitches, and he doesn't want to have to do that all over again with runners in scoring position.
3-1 delivery, and he walked him. 4th walk given up by Hough. So there are 2 on with 2 down. Comiskey Park in Chicago. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Chicago leading it 1-0. Gee in the RBI and a sacrifice fly. The pitching duel. Mike Moore and Charlie Hough before the packed house. 41,358 on hand here tonight. Gary Thorne, Joe Morgan, John Miller away for the daughter's graduation tonight. He'll be back next Sunday with Joe.
If I was sitting in the manager's chair in the Chicago White Sox dugout, I would be very uncomfortable about this.
Dangerous territory.
Yeah.
Canseco was talking to himself after his last at-bat when he popped out, just missed a pitch. He's taken the 0 for 3, batting .224. That's on the inside corner for a strike.
If he could control the knuckleball, that is the way he would pitch him, right there. Start it inside and let it maybe dance over the inside corner. But since you can't control it that well, you can't throw it there. And Canseco wants the ball out over the plate where he can really generate some bat speed.
The 0-1 to him, too far out. 8 for 43 lifetime against Tuff with the 0 for 3 for Canseco tonight. Patiently waiting, Walt Weiss at second base. Vance Law is at first. There are 2 down. A 1-0 lead for the White Sox. Teams have split the first 2 games of the series. Canseco fouls it off. 1-2. He's only 1 for 9 in this series.
This is Jose Canseco's home run chart showing where he hits the ball the farthest. And center field, 415 feet. He's hit 27 of them that way in 1990 and 91, and 15 to straightaway left and down the line.
1-2. Fans applauding Charlie Hough on ahead on the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, I'll tell you, when you're Charlie Hough working that knuckleball, every game is an experience and you know it. And when you got just a 1-0 lead, it turns into a real down in the trough, go get it ball game. And all he's got to do is face Canseco. 2-2, 2 down, 2 on. Jose left field going back on it. Newsome at the wall. Goodbye, a 3-run homer.
If I was Jeff Torberg, I would be very unsettled about that situation, and I say that again, because Charlie Hough had not retired Jose Canseco. Canseco had just missed a lot of pitches, but he was not fooled so much.
The fans are booing. Canseco's loving it.
And that's the way to get back at them. If they boo you and
you go get it downtown.
Well, it's a shame because Hough has pitched such a good game, but you cannot get away with mediocre stuff to Jose Canseco all night, and that's basically what was happening here.
5th home run off Charlie Hough this season. The A's lead 3-1. Popped up. Harold Bain, shallow center field. Look out. Great running catch made as Guillen was over by second base. But Jose Canseco's 9th home run of the season. RBIs 28, 29, and 30 have given the Oakland A's a 3-1 lead. That was their 3rd hit. Power.
Brought to you by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. By the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. And by Peerless, the best made, best back do-it-yourself faucets in America. That's Peerless.
For Jose Canseco this season against the White Sox, he's picked up only 4 hits, but 2 of them have been home runs, and it's resulted in 7 RBIs against the White Sox. 3 of them here in the 8th, a 3-1 lead, and the Sox again will have to battle from behind against Moore, and they'll start it out with a base hit. Lance Johnson delivers the single off Moore to start the bottom of the 8th.
Here's Canseco's home run. It's a knuckleball, middle of the plate in with not a lot on it, and Canseco hits it hard. He's not sure it's high enough to get out of there. The players on the bench are sure, especially Ernest Riles there. And here's Charlie Hough's reaction. And he looks back and he says, I walked Vance Law to get to Jose Canseco.
Works so hard, and one swing of the bat, that's what power's all about. That's what makes the A's winners. Runner at first base, and here is Thomas. 7 hits now for the White Sox. We told you they have won 10 games in their last at-bat this season. They are a team that never says die. They're behind here 3-1. Moore checking first on Johnson. Thomas will take the strike on the outside corner.
Mike Moore has made a lot of good pitches to Frank Thomas tonight. He has hit that outside corner knee high on several occasions. The one base hit that Thomas got was on a fastball in, and he shattered his bat, but being strong, he was able to muscle it through the infield.
That one to right field. Canseco over. Back to first base is Johnson. 1 away in the 8th. Thomas 1 for 4 on the night. Sports Center after the ball game to bring you up to date. Dan Patrick and Bob Lee. The NBA Championship Finals underway. Game 1. Jack Ramsey will have some analysis on that one. Rob Dibble, you saw a lot of points on the Rolaids relief board. Conversation with him. Nolan Ryan in Texas. They didn't get it done, though. And all the Major League Baseball scores and highlights from this Sunday of baseball coming up on Sports Center. Danny Pasqua. Runner at first, 1 out. Danny lines it off the glove of Weiss. Making the turn, Johnson, he'll go to third. Weiss does not have a play, and the White Sox are right back in it. At the corners, 1 out. Vasquez 2 for 4.
You can't say enough about Lance Johnson on this play. It's a line drive off the glove of Weiss, and he hustled all the way around the third. A lot of people, because they aren't the tying run, would not have done that. But the closer you get to home plate so you can score with a fly ball or a ground out, that means that's 1 less you have to get in the 9th inning. Nice piece of base running by Johnson.
White Sox are an incredible team, as young as they are. Never to get down on themselves. Jeff Torborg continually talks about that with this club. It was that way last year. It's that way this year. They are down 3-1 here. You saw each of the managers looking at their computer printout. Storborg had his book, seeing what hitters have done against what pitchers. He knows that Joe Klink has been throwing in the bullpen for the A's, so he's checking his hitters against Klink in case he wants to make a move. He's got Robin Ventura up, 1 out. Moore missing outside, ball 1.
Well, the one thing Ventura can't do in this situation is hit the ball on the ground for a double play. He needs to get the ball in the air, at least to the outfield. Get one of these runs back real quickly, and then you'll have a shot.
Ventura has grounded into 4 double plays this season. He doesn't want to do it here, and he's ahead on the count, 2 balls and no strikes.
And all of a sudden, Mike Moore's overthrowing the baseball, and that's the reason he's getting it up high. He's trying to throw it a little too hard, and if he keeps it up, Ventura's going to hit the ball in the air. For Mike Moore, he needs to get the ball down, and for Ventura, he wants to get the ball up so he can hit it in the air.
Ventura, good clutch hitter this year. 324 with runners in scoring position. Henderson over, and to it. Base hit by Henderson all the way to the wall. 1 runner scores. Danny Pasco going to third. Relay throw will be cut off by Gallego. It is a 3-2 game. An RBI double by Robin Ventura.
Again, it's a high fastball from Mike Moore, which is what Ventura wanted in this situation. And he lines it into left center field. Watch, this pitch is up. Up around the letters, and he crushes it into left center field. Dave Henderson does a great job of getting there, but he just can't quite get his glove on it, about 6 inches short. Ricky Henderson plays it off the wall and fires it back in. Here's Dave Henderson again. Look, just right out of his reach. And Pasqua, not running real well and not getting a good jump from first base, could not score.
9 hits now off Moore. They're delaying a little bit. Charlie Hough feels a little bit better right now. It's a 3-2 ball game with runners at third and second for the White Sox. For Mike Moore, his longest outing this season was 7 2/3 on the 22nd of May against Toronto. So he's pitching into that territory where he's usually been out of the game.
And he's already there. Here comes Tony La Russa out of the dugout. As you mentioned, they were stalling, giving the bullpen a little more time to throw. And that's Steve Chitrin.
He took the loss in the game on Friday night at Comiskey Park, and he's coming in right now to try it again. So Moore will leave, giving up 2 singles and a double here in the 8th inning. Still a chance, though, to pick up his 8th win of the season. Chitrin is on. Oakland leading 3-2, with the White Sox have 2 in scoring position. Chitrin knows tough situations, a former Stanford Cardinal. He appeared in a championship season for the Cardinal. It was in the College World Series, 1988. So now here he is at the major league level. A lot of college players at the major league level. Chitrin's moment to remember in '88 came when the final out occurred. This was it. The ping of the aluminum bat came against Arizona State. Chitrin involved in the celebration of a championship season for Stanford.
And I was there calling the game. I did that championship game. It was a good game.
And ESPN continues to cover the College World Series, which is underway at Rosenblatt Stadium right now. And you will see it tomorrow, continuing here. Danny Pasqua's at third. Robin Ventura is at second. And the pinch hitter is Matt Marullo. Chitrin has allowed 6 of 20 inherited runners to score thus far this season. Marullo's numbers as a pinch hitter, and a backup catcher and infielder, hitting for Sammy Sosa. With Mike Moore looking on to see if Chitrin can get it done. Infield, back. The only one in is Law at third base. White Sox have battled from behind. When they've trailed after 6, they've won 3. When they've trailed after 7, they've won 3. They're trying to do it again here. 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, they're playing back on the infield. at first base, second base, and short. Vance Law is in on the edge of the grass at third. He would be the only one to make a play at the plate. Although Pasqua doesn't run that well, and Mark McGuire, if one hopper goes to him, he would have a shot.
Matt Marullo's ahead on the count now. 3 balls and no strikes as La Russa paces.
This wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he did walk him, because it would set up a double play situation. Although Ozzie Guillen runs well, it would give you a chance to get to double someone up.
One of the reasons Matt Marullo's in there, he has faced Chytrin only once. The result was a home run. That's what Jeff Torborg had in his book.
Well, Tony La Russa should have that in his book as well. And Chytrin, I know he has that in his book.
3-1. Marullo fouls it off, and Chytrin comes back from a 3-0 deficit, 3-2.
And Chytrin's best pitch, if I remember correctly, was a slider. And a 3-2 slider right here might be what's called for in this situation, because you have the luxury of a base being open at first. So if you miss with the slider, it might not kill you. But if you get it over, you may be able to get the strikeout that you need.
3-2, 1 away. Swung on into the right field. Canseco will not get it. That'll score 1 run. That'll score 2. And Matt Marullo comes through with a 2 RBI single. And the White Sox lead 4-3.
I wish I would have been this smart when I was trying to hit, because this is a 3-2 slider and it's down. It's a good pitch from Chytrin, but Marullo jumps all over it. He had thrown him 2 fastballs, 3-0 and 3-1. This is a slider right there. Look at the break in it. He goes down after it and pulls it down the right field line. Good piece of hitting.
Ozzie Guillen fouls it back. Boy, Matt Marullo's getting the job done for Jeff Torborg. He sent him in. You think these games aren't taken seriously? Robin Ventura crossing the plate with the go-ahead run. Charlie Huff's back in the victory territory. Joey Cora is coming on to pinch run from Matt Marullo. Marullo's got 10 RBIs now, 7 of them as a pinch hitter. There's Joey Cora. There's Ozzie Guillen popping it up to left. Ricky Henderson. That is the 2nd out of the inning. 2 down. Cora at first base. This has been one heck of a baseball game. It is. 3 runs in the top of the 8th inning, and Oakland went on top with a 3-run homer by Canseco. And before the inning's over, the White Sox have battled back for 3 runs in the bottom of it to regain the lead 4-3.
And remember, it's not over till it's over.
You got it right. All of those runs are charged to Mike Moore, who could lose this game now. Blocked by Quirk. And a mighty happy Matt Marullo, another disciple of Walt Reniak, who comes out day after day taking extra BP.
And we saw Tim Raines there congratulating. Raines is out because of a tight hamstring muscle. Tony La Russa with his pitching coach Dave Duncan.
Two down. That's a strike. 1-1.
And the fans started chanting about Jose Canseco in right field. I don't know exactly what they're saying, but
yeah,
it's
we
Jose.
We know exactly what they're saying, and we can't repeat it. And it probably shouldn't be yelled, but it is.
Right. Now, they better hope he doesn't get the hit again.
Yeah, that's right. Fletcher batting at 216. He's taking the caller 0 for 3. Chytrin with a runner at first. Cora was leaning. Dives back in. So Mike Moore, 7 1/3, 4 runs earned, 9 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, 2 wild pitches. He is the pitcher of record on the losing side, as Chytrin could not keep those runners inherited from scoring. And Charlie Huff's got a chance to win. Sammy Sosa, pitching coach, with him. Breaking ball, froze him, but it missed. 2-1. Chytrin has really struggled in this series. His faced 8 batters thus far. Told you that he took the loss Friday. 6 of them have reached base. Two-one count, 2 down. White Sox up 4-3. And he'll have to step back. Steve Chitrin, 23-year-old, who's got a birthday coming up this week, June 8th. And it goes. Cora breaking. Quirk's throw. Couldn't get a handle on it. Stolen base for Joey Cora. Cora, that'll be his 5th stolen base. He's 5 for 6.
And he gets a good jump on Chitrin. He's stealing all the way. He doesn't look up. And he slides in safely.
Big run right there. He's in scoring position with 2 down for one of the best clutch hitters the White Sox have, and Scott Fletcher. Scotty, 3-1 outside. He's on with a walk. The Chitrin struggling. 2 down, 2 on. La Russa from one end to the other. Wakamatsu is due up. As Joe said, Tim Raines was around the bat rack. La Russa is just waiting for the announcement here. Thiggy, the closer for the White Sox, is ready. Raines will be introduced.
And Tim Raines has been very hot lately, has an 11-game hitting streak. And he's raised his average up to 289. Swinging the bat real well. He started off very slowly.
Dave Duncan will make the trip to the mound this time. Raines loosen up.
If you're going to pitch to Tim Raines and he's hitting left-handed, you try to stay inside. He likes the ball out over the plate in this area, so you try to stay inside and tight on him. He doesn't like the ball in here. So that's the way you try to pitch him. Although with the bases loaded, Chitrin doesn't have the luxury of missing with a pitch or two trying to get inside. Because if he falls too far behind, then he can really get hurt by a walk or having to throw a ball in the middle of the plate. So we'll see how they attack him.
Raines got off to a slow start. 177 in April. Boy, he has picked that pace up. Look where he is right now. Tim Raines safely in 20 of the last 25 games. That hit streak, big numbers. First and second, 2 down. Raines stopped by Gallego. Over to McGuire, and that will do it. But the White Sox have a big 8th inning as they score 3 runs, sending 8 men to the plate. Charlie Huff's got a chance for the victory. Henderson, McGuire, and Quirk are due up. Charlie Huff, somebody high-five me. I'm in this game for a win. Hello, baby. And Matt Marullo, the big pinch hit. Chicago White Sox 10-5, 10-5 in 1-run games already this season. The A's are 5-4. Bobby Thigpen, the best at closing in the American League last season, setting a new all-time mark in saves. His job here: get 3 outs, get Charlie Huff and the White Sox a win. Dave Henderson, McGuire, and Quirk. Endu hitting at .330. Changes defensively. Corey Snyder in right field for Sammy Sosa. And Pudge is behind the plate. The 0-1 delivery. Up high. Joe, his pitch must look like about 200 miles an hour after they watch Charlie Huff.
Exactly. That's one of the great things about bringing in a fireballer after a knuckleball pitcher. 60 miles an hour now, up to about 90.
Big Pen missing with that. 2 balls and 1 strike.
First question you have to ask about Thigpen, though, is that, you know, he hit Steinbach in the head last night with a fastball, and he wasn't the same after that. The question is, will he be the same tonight? Will he come inside? He has to be inside to be effective.
Grounded towards short. Guillen, no play. Wouldn't have had it anyway. That should be a single. And Dave Henderson leads off the 9th inning for the A's, putting the potential tying run on at first base.
Well, every pitch was out over the plate and away from the hitter. And it was a low fastball, and Guillen got a good jump on it, but the ball is deep in the hole, and Dave Henderson runs very well. And if Guillen comes up with it, he's still not going to be able to throw Dave Henderson out at first base.
Willie Wilson will pinch run for Henderson. There's Wilson on. 9th inning, 4-3 lead for the White Sox. Wilson, the pinch runner. Power against power. McGuire. Thigpen throws over. Mark has taken the 0 for 2 tonight, but he has a .417 lifetime batting average against Thigpen, including a couple of home runs. He's 5 for 12 off him.
Well, if Thigpen throws the fastball down there, he may get touched up again. Thigpen's best pitch against Mark McGuire is the high fastball, not the low fastball. With the uppercut in McGuire's swing, he's a great low ball hitter, so you have to stay above the waist on him with your good fastball.
1-0 delivery outside, fist to get it. 2 balls and no strikes on McGuire. Here are the numbers, and they are impressive against Bobby Thigpen. Charlie Hough, 8 innings, 3 runs earned, 3 hits, struck out 3, walked 4, 2 hit batters, 1 home run, the 3-run homer by Canseco. He's looking for his 2nd win if Thigpen can retire the A's here in the top of the 9th. These 2 teams have developed just a great rivalry. Their games have an intensity that almost brings it to the level of playoff baseball. 2-0. 3 balls and no strikes. We're delighted to bring it to you on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Comiskey before a sellout crowd. Chicago battling back to get the lead back after Canseco's 3-run homer, but leadoff man is on in the 9th inning. Great to have you with us. Thigpen's delivery on 3-0 is there. Sports Center right after the ball game. All the day's scores and highlights from Major League Baseball. Of course, a look at the NBA Finals that got underway here in Chicago this afternoon. Latchman with the signs for Willie Wilson at first base. 3-1 count. Left field, it's deep, going back. Newsom makes the catch. The rookie hauls it in. McGuire robbed of an extra base hit by Warren Newsom.
Well, Thigpen throws the low fastball, and McGuire can hit the low fastball. Watch, this pitch is down, and he drives it in the left center field. Newsom on the run, full stretch, comes down with it. Excellent play. He got a good jump, and he came down with it. Nice play for the young fellow.
He said they like to compare him to Kirby Puckett because he looks that way. That's the kind of thing Kirby will do right there.
Kirby can do it.
Kirby can do it. Mark McGuire couldn't do much more than that.
Only thing he's upset about is he didn't get it elevated a little more. He had enough on it to get out of here. He just didn't get it high enough.
Jamie Quirk, 1 down. Wilson remains at first base. Quirk's 2 for 5 lifetime against Thigpen. Ball 1. The White Sox last season were involved in a lot of 1-run games, and they finished 30-22, and they're going right back at that same pace in 1-run ball games this season. Jeff Torborg has a ball club that takes you to the wire, trying for yet another come from behind win. If they did it, it would be their 11th win of the season in their last at bat. The power. Henderson and Seiko and McGuire right to left. Runner goes, swung on, and foul, tipped or missed? Miss. Stolen base for Wilson. So he's on. The potential tying run goes to second base. 1 ball, 1 strike. 7 stolen bases for Wilson. White knuckle time in Chicago. They missed the first game of the NBA playoffs. Hang in, some great highlights coming. An outstanding basketball game. Sports Center will have it for you. And right along. 1-1. Fastball is on the outside corner to Quirk. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. 1 run difference. One thing Thigpen is happy about. 1, Terry Steinbach apparently is all right after getting beaten last night in the hospital as a concussion, but is going to be okay. The second thing, that he's gotten back in a ball game tonight and gotten that first pitch after out of the way. Jamie Quirk, the 1-2 delivery, grounded to first, backhanded Danny Pascal. Thiggy covers. They get the out. Over the third goes Wilson. 2 down.
I'll tell you another thing he's happy about. Newsom being in left field and Pascal being able to backhand that ball. He's gotten some good defensive support here in the top of the 9th. Now he has to get 1 more by himself.
Ernie Riles, the pinch hitter. Torborg again went to the computer book to see the numbers on Riles, who is 1 for 5 against Thigpen, having been struck out once.
Again, Ernest Riles is a good low fastball hitter. And so far in this ball game, Thigpen has been featuring the low fastball. He has not used the high fastball very much at all.
The White Sox fans starting to applaud. It's not over. Potential tying runs, 90 away. Riles takes it outside. Ball 1. 2 down. Wilson's at third. The White Sox lead 4-3 in the 9th inning. Thigpen looking for his 10th save of the year. Riles trying to avoid it. Same place, same result, 2-0. Wanting to celebrate. 2-0 pitch. Riles. That will be a foul ball. But not by much.
Well, Riles usually doesn't swing at that high fastball, but he rolled his wrist over on it, and that's why it hooked foul. But he is really not a good high fastball hitter. This is a high fastball. See how he rolls his wrist over, and that's why he hooked it foul.
2 ball, 1 strike count. Wilson at third. Ventura just jockeying a bit with him. The 2-1. Riles 2-2.
There must be good movement on Thigpen's fastball down low, because Riles likes that pitch, and he just missed it.
Fans are up. A's are down to their final strike. Thigpen 2-2, 2 down. White Sox lead 4-3. Wilson at third base. The 2-2 delivery. Full count. A collective. Ooh. Jeff Torborg's team, after their 22nd win, they are 21-24.
Can't bear to look.
Tony La Russa's club, after their 30th win, they are 29-19. Thiggy, 3-2 delivery. He walks him. It is not over. Riles gets a pinch hit walk, putting runners at first and third for Walt Weiss.
Now, the one thing you do not want to do if you're thick pin is to put the go-ahead run on first base. And he knows he threw the high fastball and got away from him.
So the fans will settle back down as Walt Weiss stands in. 2 for 8 against Thigpen Lifetime. First and third, 2 down. Towards second base, could be the ball game. Fletcher, the White Sox win it 4-3. What a